What is going on, everyone? Today, we are breaking down, I believe 12 is the number of teams that we have to cover today in the hopper from you guys, breaking down your Dynasty Fantasy Football teams. I would imagine you sane folk who are not us, who have rookie drafts immediately after the NFL draft, are probably closing out, some of your rookie drafts. I would imagine some of you guys didn't even begin them probably until like last weekend or a couple days ago or whatever. So I figured that's probably the influx of team reviews that we're getting here is a lot of normal human beings who have lives actually doing their rookie drafts at a reasonable time when they have more information. Unlike Danny and I, the pick gets phoned in on, Saturday, pick 257 or whatever is in, and we're ready to draft our rookie drafts already. So yeah, we're going to break down some teams. As always, if you guys want to get your team covered live, you can see that at the top of the YouTube chat there. Annual Motherflocker subs get a free team review that is also pinned in the chat as well. But John B is the first team that we're going to be breaking down here, Danny. He has David is Old as his team listed there. It is the fourth best team in the league according to our My Teams feature, which as always is a free feature that you guys can use over on Flock Fantasy. But if you want our specific opinion, you can go to settings when you're in the My Teams feature and it'll say my rankings, Danny's rankings, Mason's rankings, whoever else. But John B's team here drafted Hunter at the 104, Ted at the 106. Good value on both of those players. Sent 205 and a 26 first for 108 Harvey. You
don't love that as much.
Don't love that as much. 308 Devin Neal, 311 Noah Fannin, which I love. Giddens at 404. I think I love too. I'm not even a huge Jarquez guy, but 412 is a great value on him. He said, should I just sit on this team and let it marinate as league trades have been weird lately? He said league is an empire.
I love how he censored Shitty Beef's name.
Yeah, literally. Shitty Beef guy won last year. Okay, so Empire League, basically for those of you guys that don't know, that just means that usually there's like a bigger pot every 4 years, every 2 years, every 3 years, whatever the league decides. First back-to-back winner that resets if someone goes back-to-back. Maybe the league resets is what he means if someone goes back-to-back. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah. Kind of wishing a couple of our setups with my monsters had that rule.
Yeah. Exactly. People who have that league format where you maybe redraft if someone goes back to back is definitely, it's a floor raiser for shitty dynasty players, I would say, is how it works. If you're in a friends and family dynasty league, I think that's fine. For you and I, Danny, obviously we have no problem getting listeners into our dynasty leagues and whatnot, and joining leagues with sickos in general. We would never do something like that, but a friends and family dynasty league, I think is fair.
Yeah, I agree with that. If we go to the team, so this is David is Old, his team.
Yep.
So it's clear he thought, okay, you know what? I'm at the 205 here. Best player on my rankings, most likely going to be available, is going to be a wide receiver. You wanted to get aggressive and get a running back. The issue that I have is that at 108, that means that you're taking Harvey over one of Henderson, Judkins, probably going to be Igbuka is who I'm assuming you probably took him over. But either way I slice it, giving up that future first-round pick for a player that I wouldn't have even selected at the 108 just feels too rich. To me, the difference between 205 and where I have RJ Harvey evaluated is absolutely not a 2026 first round pick. In fact, even if it was like a second, like that,
I would be okay giving up a 2 and a 205.
That would be the max,
I think I'd be okay with that, but that would be the absolute max, like you said. If you were willing to pay 205 plus a 26 first, does that get you Breece Hall on the open market?
So many other
get you a better running back than RJ Harvey.
I mean, like you were within range of getting a Trevion Henderson. Even like, Judkins about the line that I'd be willing to pay. Like that is a line RB11-ish type in Dynasty. Like I wouldn't even give that up for Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, like it's just a little steep for a guy who is, as you can see there, ranked as like my RB20 in Dynasty. It's not a guy that I value as a top 10 dude, which if you're giving up a first plus a mid-second, and that second is this year, so you get to spend it on a Tootin or a Scadaboo, whoever that person would have probably spent that pick. Maybe even a Jaden Higgins or a Luther Burden falls to that point. You never know. I would want a dude, man. I would want like a Bucky Irving or a Breece Hall or something. Like I wanted a dude with that pick. I get why you did it. You had no running backs. It's just that was a panic move, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. And I get it even more, like you said, half PPR, start 9 league. Your wide receiver core is already set. Your quarterback core is amazing. Like, there's no issues with how you've actually built this roster. In fact, for only being the number 4, quote unquote, according to the analyzer, this is a very well put together team. It's just for me, like, if you had supplemented, again, maybe that wouldn't have been available because of the running back market in your league. I'm assuming you're probably having to pay running back tax is the only maybe sign that I would say here. Brees probably not available in this circumstance. Who are the running backs on the 2 and 3 team, just so we can get reference?
Yeah, they had Achan and like Jacobs and a
Like
couple.
I would have rather
I mean,
spent a little more for Barkley
on the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
I would assume in the leagues that you and I play in that a 26-1 and a 205 would get you Barkley, but maybe it's not possible in his league. Even still, let's say that was the price for James Cook, which I wouldn't pay for James Cook for what it's worth, but I would rather pay it than pay it for RJ Harvey.
Yeah, or even Chase Brown, like guys like that. Quinshon Judkins
Kenneth
on
Walker,
this team.
again, I have ranked higher than RJ Harvey. I mean, Genty probably not available at that point. Chuba Hubbard, I would have rather paid that slightly. Like Kyron Williams, I would have rather paid that slightly there. Like even on tons. Bucky, this guy with Bucky, I definitely would have floated that trade out to him for sure.
Like realistically, you could convince me with like a Christian McCaffrey level producer instead of RJ Harvey this year. Like if we're looking at your team just off of redraft perspective, like maybe like you don't have a top 6 quarterback scorer, but Drake May, Caleb Williams probably going to be back-end quarterback 1s. Bryce Young's probably going to be a mid-end quarterback 2. Jameer Gibbs going to be a top 2 or 3 running back off the board. Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be a first-round pick. Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably going to be a 2-3 turn pick. Travis Hunter, Tedero McMillan are going 4th round on underdog drafts. Ladd McConkey, of course, I don't even know how he got listed like so low there too. Pretty remarkable. Ladd McConkey is going to be a guy going literally in the mid-second of redraft leagues right now. So like you're plotting this team out, like this team's got quite a bit of production equity this year. If you had told me that there was a Christian McCaffrey instead of RJ Harvey, like I would put you up there with potentially the top 2 or 3 to win this. Like I would have to see, of course, what the other top 2, 3 look like. But regardless though, like just because we don't agree with the evaluation specifically on Harvey, you're still putting together a really strong team. Sorry, I kind of muffled.
And we're nitpicking that deal specifically, but getting Hunter 104 and McMillan 106 is obviously great. The next logical move for me would be to take one of McConkey or Odunze because they're your lower end wide receivers, which is insane to say given the strength of this wide receiver core. Can you pivot Ladd McConkey into a top end running back? That's definitely a possibility that if somebody needs a running back on their roster, like again, I would not pay Ladd McConkey for Breece Hall necessarily, but if he were to give you a plus back and throw in something to even out that deal,
a higher tier running back.
Yeah, I would probably need a higher tier running back like as well. But I'm saying in a league market in which the running backs are hard to obtain, like let's say, would you trade Ladd McConkey for Bucky Irving straight up?
No.
Okay, would you trade Ladd McConkey for Bucky Irving and Jawan Jennings?
It's not bad. Like again, depending on your league market. Again, but I would rather just go after the Saquon
market
guy.
Is very hard to trade for running backs.
I'd rather just go after the Saquon guy.
Yeah, you could definitely go after the Saquon guy for sure. But I'm floating out some trade ideas here. Yeah, like maybe you can give this guy Ladd McConkey and he'll give you Barkley.
Respectfully, if this guy thinks he's competing with this game with this team, he's delusional.
Yeah, this is a fraudulent team, as we broke down in the video the other day.
We got Cooper Kupp and Keenan Allen as potential starting options at this point in their careers.
Yeah, and Kelsey too. Like that guy's team, he should be proactive and try and rebuild that. And you giving him Ladd McConkey for an aging running back would be a good step. And he might even throw you back a wide receiver because they're all aging guys too. So definitely converse with that guy. Show him that his team is 12th in our My Teams feature, and maybe he would wise up to the fact that he's probably not going to win this year, especially given the strength of some of the top teams in this league who have youthful talent and they have longevity, unlike that guy's team. But regardless, I think you did a good job in the rookie draft. I like the value you got at every single pick, other than the RJ Harvey trade. I think you did a great job.
Yeah, no, completely agree. You don't have your 2026 first, obviously, in the Harvey deal, but you do still have all of your 2027 picks remaining intact. I think you're going to be able to compete regardless this year, but would have been nice. Like, honestly, too, maybe RJ Harvey comes out of the gate swinging and people overreact and he's the dynasty running back 8. Like, at that point, you should be able to get out of the risk that he would fall back in value and be able to probably get a McCaffrey plus. So I see the upside to the deal because I can see a scenario where the Denver Broncos offense comes out of the gate swinging and RJ Harvey is catching 5 passes per game in the first 2 games. Like, there is that range of outcome. It's just, for me, sustainably across the full year, I don't see him being that type of running back. And if you could pocket, like I said, at that point in the cycle, week 4, week 5, Christian McCaffrey plus for him on the open market, like you said, let's go see where McCaffrey is on this team.
Yeah, I think he might have been on one of the top teams, maybe.
Is that? Chase Brown.
Chase Brown. I mean, you could go after him if he's not super high on him. Jonathan Taylor,
probably on
Christian McCaffrey, and Kyron Williams are on this guy's team.
Yeah,
I would assume this guy probably thinks he's competing, and he probably is, given the direction of his team.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Regardless, though, that type of archetype of running back, if you can get insulation plus on top of that for Harvey, there could be a potential window to sell in season, even if we think you overpaid at this point.
Yeah, and again, it could still work out for you if Harvey
Yeah.
turns into the next Bucky Irving or whatever. But Bucky Irving's 2.5 years younger than current day RJ Harvey. So I think the thing that I'm worried about is not that RJ Harvey will be a hit in the NFL, because he's got everything in front of him to be one.
Yeah.
Given that the Broncos have really no competition for touches at the moment, and Sean Payton's been really solid with running backs and all that kind of stuff. I worry about what the long-term value insulation for a guy like Harvey is. The second round draft capital really helps, but he is a little bit older on that side of things. So it would definitely be a little bit more concerning there. But regardless, this is going to be a competitive team. Don't be afraid to pivot a wide receiver into a running back if you can. Odunze and McConkey being the two that you could do it with. But I also wouldn't be totally opposed to pivoting one of your top, like your higher end wide receivers, because Hunter was undervalued in the rookie draft. It's possible that maybe you could get a really like absolute godfather offer for Brian Thomas Jr. because you got Hunter already. It also kind of makes sense that you might want to pivot off of him. If somebody was willing to give you, Bijan for Brian Thomas. I know Danny might disagree with that, but I do actually have Bijan ahead of Brian Thomas in my dynasty.
If you got a plus,
so I'd be willing to do it.
If you got a plus, I would hear it out. The only issue too, specifically when it comes to receiver equity this year, is Brian Thomas Jr. is your best projectable receiver. I would rather, if you're going to make an aggressive move like that, I would rather see if you can shift from Tet or Marvin Harrison to be able to do that.
Given that Tet went 106 and Harrison's on the downslope in terms of his value right now, he's probably the only receiver other than McConkey that you have that can pivot into a guy who's kind of on a high right now. And McConkey, to me, I still think can go up from where he is, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, like if you can get a plus of insulation on top, I wouldn't be opposed to moving Brian Thomas Jr. I'd just be careful with that, because I also acknowledge that there's a range of outcomes. If Trevor Lawrence is the talent that we both think he is, like this could be one of the scariest offenses in the league.
It should, yeah. And Scribbles makes a good point. He says, is age really that important? Because, running backs past their rookie deal, draft capital is more important. I agree with you, but you just made the point. You just made the point right there. You said, how much do we value running backs after their rookie deal? Well, it's like, well, after RJ Harvey's rookie deal,
he's going to be 28,
29 years old. Yeah. And that means he's only like a 4-year shelf life type of asset, which is not usually the case with a rookie running back.
Big difference between signing that extension at 24, 25 years old, because he's entering his rookie season at 24 years old. So that is unfortunately the aspect of RJ Harvey that a lot of people fail to bring up. People will point to the fit in the Peyton offense. People will point to how elusive he was, the 3-down profile. Like, realistically and honestly, from a redraft perspective, if I knew he would get all that autonomy of work from year one, probably be a lot higher where I currently have him, probably aligned with where the market has him. The market has him currently as a guy who's, I believe, top 17 or 18 in terms of redraft rankings right now. The issue for me specifically is how high is the ceiling actually with the asset? Like, that is genuinely the question. Like, if he lives up to all expectations, like, he's not going to be valued higher than where Bucky Irving currently is. And Bucky Irving is currently like the RB7 on the market.
Yeah, like Harvey will be, like,
he's not going to be
before
Jahmyr
the Super
Gibbs
Bowl has even been played. Like he turns 25 in February, early February. He's younger. He's older, than Breece Hall is. Like
you're hoping it's Bucky Irving, and even Bucky Irving comparatively right now is, I believe, still younger right now than what RJ Harvey is now.
Bucky Irving is
2 years younger now.
A good amount younger than RJ Harvey right now. Yeah, he's like a year and a half younger.
Yeah, so it just goes back to the fact that if Bucky Irving is peaking right now as RB7 in Dynasty, and realistically, like, he could be a fantastic RB7, do exactly what he did last year, where's the range of outcomes where he's actually valued ahead of like a Jahmyr Gibbs, ahead of a Bijan Robinson?
No, it doesn't exist. He can't be ahead of those guys. I would say his peak, if he had an RB1 season this year, is that he would probably be around the valuation of like Chase Brown, Breece Hall.
And that's the thing, Chase Brown,
probably his peak.
Chase Brown's the same age as him, no?
Yeah, Chase Brown's a year older, I believe.
Oh, Chase Brown's a 2000.
Brown was born in 2000, and RJ Harvey.
Harvey's a 2001. Oh, okay, fair enough. Regardless, though, like that contextually speaking, like that kind of opens your eyes. Like, oh, like, okay, 4th round running back, 2nd round running back, sure, but I mean, Chase Brown is coming off a stretch at the end of last season where he was averaging like 24 opportunities a game.
Yeah, underdog Mason. I saw Mason's running back.
Yeah, what am I missing either with that, by the way?
Yeah, I mean, Chase Brown, I guess what underdog's factoring in is Zach Moss coming back from injury, Khalil Herbert and Taj Brooks factoring into the backfield. Because I will say, the one thing against Chase Brown is that he does not have a long track record of carrying a big workload in the NFL, even though he did it in college. it could be sometimes during the season, NFL teams just pivot and they're like, all we have at running back is Chase Brown. We'll give him the whole workload. Cause like we saw the Cardinals do that with
I'm
Kenyon
baking
Drake
that in.
a couple years ago. The Cardinals just gave Kenyon Drake everything that he could handle. And then at the beginning of the season, you're like, okay, this is why he hasn't been thought of as like a full status bell cow throughout the entirety of his career. But anyways, we've been spending a lot of time on this top team.
I'll just say
move on.
I'll just say one more thing regarding Chase Brown. I'm already baking that in that maybe he doesn't get exactly the workload that he got last year, and it's maybe comparatively 8 to 10% less. Because otherwise, if I wasn't already baking that in, I can tell you right now, he's currently my RB8 in redraft. And I think you can make the case if he had, like, we had full expectation he was going to do exactly like he did week 9 on last year. He was the RB2 in fantasy down the stretch.
I don't think that's within his range of outcomes, to be honest, to do that for a full season.
But I think we're already baking that in, having him at 8. What I'm saying is if the expectation was exactly what he did at the end of last year, he would quite literally be a top 4 running back on the market in a first-round redraft pick, because that's how valuable he was at the end stretch last year. He was legitimately a 20-plus point per game scorer, 5 catches per game on one of the best projectable offenses on a week-to-week basis. Like, how many times did Chase Brown rank within the top 3 to 5 running backs for you in the weeks 10 to 17 portion of your rankings on the stretch?
Oh, a lot. And he I would say, like, if what he showed was like top 3 running back upside in terms of what he was getting last year, he's probably more so, I would peg his ceiling RB 5-6 in points per game on the entirety of the season. And then floor probably like a high end RB2, mid RB2 if things don't work out for him.
For what it's worth, I think him and Bucky Irving are similar cases with that. They're my RB8s and RB8 and RB9 respectively right now. But I just feel safer projecting the past, quote unquote, or what I've already seen in terms of substance. Obviously, we saw the substance from Chase Brown this year. We saw the substance with Bucky Irving, but I think they're more volatile to losing work compared to like your Derrick Henry, your Christian McCaffrey, even Devon Achane, Ashton Genty goes 6 overall, fresh body to a team that wants to run the football. Like, the risk level in its own right makes them my RB 8 and 9 respectively. But if we expected exactly what they did last year, I think they would be above all these guys.
Yeah, with Bucky, you got Rashad. As much as people like to rip on him, is much better than the Bengals backups, running backs. Like Rashad White has been an RB1 in fantasy before, so that would be the concern with Irving. And I do think that Rashad will probably still take away about 30 to 40% of the snaps, and Sean Tucker can play too, so you have to factor him as well into that backfield. But yeah, both of those guys, if we were, like you said, just going off of what they did last year, would probably be a lot more valuable than they are.
So it's funny because I actually had Dylan on Twitter here. Yeah, he tagged me and he basically asked, why so high on Chase Brown but low on James Cook for Dynasty? Thanks, because there is a pretty wide discrepancy between them in my rankings. Just for you guys, because I think it's a relevant conversation, both similar ages, both kind of up for extension. This is my take on it. Biggest differentiator for me where they are in redraft. Brown, like I said, RB8. Cook, my RB16. Brown, much better projectable workload based on the end of last season's usage. Cook is due for some touchdown regression. Again, a guy that had 225 carries, I believe, and 16 rushing touchdowns versus 4 rushing touchdowns on a similar workload the year before. So kind of bake that in. I just thought it was an interesting conversation point, obviously, because we're talking about Brown, because I do feel like people might be asking the question of where exactly do we view James Cook in that discussion?
Yeah, I would say the other thing that needs to correct itself is you need to put dark mode on for Twitter. But other than that,
it says the guy who uses light mode for sleeper.
No, I don't.
Or what is it?
Discord.
There's a big
Discord. For some reason,
Discord
should be in light
weirdo
mode in my mind. I don't know why. I just feel like it's the only thing I use light mode for.
It's much more acceptable to use Twitter light mode than it is Discord light mode.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. And Pete brings up the new OC in Tampa Bay too, which will definitely factor into I think just the effectiveness of the run game in general, not necessarily just Bucky Irving. I just don't think we'll run the ball nearly as good as we did last year without Liam Cohen there. But anyways, let's move into Ralph's team here. He says this is his first Dynasty League. Just finished the startup, and he'd love overall thoughts on the team, whether he's a contender, rebuilder, how he stacks up against the league overall and this year. And then he has a trade on the table here. He said he was offered Dak, Jaden Reed, and a third for Penix. He said, I like it value-wise, but is it good if I'm rebuilding? Okay, in a vacuum, that's a very good trade. Dak, Reed, and third for Penix. I have Dak over Penix. Yeah. Danny obviously does. We don't even need to ask him.
Look at the jersey.
Yeah, but Dak, Reed, and the third is definitely enough insulation for me to move off of Penix. Obviously, if Penix hits big, he'll be probably a little bit more valuable in this package. But I also think if Reed has like a wide receiver 2-3 production type of season, he could even out this deal for you as well.
Jaden Reed was a guy that everybody was comfortable putting close to their top 15 in dynasty rankings, including myself, after the first few weeks of last season. Now, obviously, that didn't continue, but I mean, yeah, we want to see the snap share go up. He's still a young player. We saw the explosion. We saw the yards per route run efficiency, for example, when he was targeted. It's just a matter of going out there and doing it on a consistent week-to-week basis. Like, we saw Jaden Reed legitimately have winning ceilings. Like, was it the Brazil game Friday night?
The first game of the year, he looked like he was going to win people leagues for sure.
Like, didn't he have like 130 and 2 tugs or something?
Yeah,
like that?
He caught like a bomb touchdown at the beginning of the game. The one thing I will say is, now looking at your roster, it does actually make sense in a vacuum to keep Penix, given the state of this roster. Like, your number 2 receiver is a second-year guy in Rome Odunze. Your number 3 receiver has an ACL tear that he's coming off of. Your number 4 receiver is a rookie. You have another, couple young guys, Kyle Williams, Adonai Mitchell there. Given the state of your team, you are definitely what I would consider to be kind of like a 1-year punt out of the startup, more of like a rebuilding type of window. We'll see what happens kind of situation. Because I don't think, you look at year 1 projection of a lot of these guys, I don't think you're going to be a top 3 to 4 producer, because there's probably, given that it's your first dynasty startup, a lot of teams that went with more competitive assets out of the startup than you did.
I will say, though, knowing that this is first year out of the startup, just specifically looking at the deal, like I said, the value we just went over, like, you're getting value in terms of the fact that we actually preferred Dak to Penix, and you're also getting Reed in third in terms of the insulation. Third is a movable piece if you need to use it in season, maybe as a slate upgrade, whether that's getting somebody in the same tier as Brandon Ayuk, but maybe Brandon Ayuk isn't performing yet, or maybe it's like, oh, hey, like Odunze's showing some flashes, he's going off, and maybe that third can get you an upgrade to T. Higgins at the beginning of the season. You know what I mean? Just extra liquidity to be able to bank. On top of that, I do think this team has a better contending chance that you are letting on. The reason why is
it's not that I don't think that it can contend. It's that you have better assets for 2 years from now. You know what I mean? Like, Odunze is going to be better probably in 2026 than he is this year. Ayuk is going to be better in 2026 than he is this year. Isaiah Likely probably better in 2026 than he is this year.
See, I agree in theory, but I also acknowledge that this is what a house money team looks like out of a startup, to be honest. Like, this is the type of team where if you told me weeks 1 to 5 or by week 5, this was a 4-1 team, or if you told me this team was a 2-3 team, like, I can see it being a number of directions. The fact of the matter is the most important part is keeping that liquidity and making that determination by week 5, week 6, week 7 in your dynasty league, what direction you want to commit to. Because like I said, like, there is a world Drake May comes out here and he has a phenomenal second year, takes a step up that we want to see as a top 5 dynasty startup asset. Maybe he attaches Kyle Williams to him. Kyle Williams, 3rd round, 69th overall pick, breakout rookie performance. Obviously, we know, for example, CeeDee Lamb's going to be valued as a top 5 overall redraft pick. If you get that Dak stack, you're looking at one of the most valuable quarterback to wide receiver stacks in the league. Top of that, Jahmyr Gibbs, also a top 5 pick. Like, I can see past to this team legitimately being a scary point producing team right off the bat, even though you built it to be young.
Yeah. Other than that, I get your point with the quarterbacks. I think the production window that you're getting with them is fine. It's just at other positions behind Gibbs at running back, I'd be worried about the production. Behind Lamb at receiver, I'd be worried about it.
I'm more open to it because it's right out of the startup. That's kind of
of course. Also, this slander will not be tolerated in the chat. Miley Cyrus is not chopped. I think chopped is a bad thing. I'm old now, so I think it's a bad thing. But
chopped means like ugly.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous in my opinion. But anyways, this team, the way that I would handle it if I was the manager of this team is that I would probably not be making any rash moves for a 32-year-old quarterback in Dak Prescott, because I don't think it's ready to compete right now. However, the value is such that you probably should just make the move in a vacuum, because it's going to give you another very usable wide receiver.
I was going to say, one more thing. Like, Reed could legitimately be a flex option in a year 1 contending situation.
Of course, yeah. Especially in a league where you, according to my team's feature, have the best value out of the startup. Like if this is your competition, some of these teams are good and have better, wide receiver depth.
Cam Ward and A-Rich is going to be a starter on a week-to-week basis.
Like, nobody's going to have a perfect roster out of a startup, especially if the league is relatively flat in terms of the value, which this one appears to be very, very close. Like, between the 12th team and the first team, that's you have like 4,500 worth of points. Like, this is a close league. Like, anybody could win this thing realistically.
Well, the benefits, like I said, if it's an even situation like this, obviously in more leagues that we are in, Corey, the reason that you want to take an extreme stance out of the startup, you want to be far right or you want to be far left, is because quite frankly, there's like not a lot of middling. Like there's 8 or 9 teams kind of doing the same thing. You'll
But like
see
there
in
is
startups
that in this league right now because
but
they're all relatively similar.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Bush, I'm saying in our startups, it's not like that, which is why we don't really suggest like, oh, you like maybe you're not like fully like a contender on paper, but I can see a path to you contending because everybody kind of chose the same lane. I'm saying in our leagues, because there's just such a wide variety of all in versus I got to rebuild, I got a 1-year punt, the discrepancy in terms of flock analyzer value is a lot different.
Yeah. It's just when you're in a league where it's everyone, because he said it was his first dynasty league too. If everybody's in their first dynasty league or whatever, you and I both know how profitable it can be to be patient out of leagues like that because people are going to be throwing 1s and 2s around like crazy during the season.
Don't touch the liquidity. Like don't touch your picks. That's
my thought process would be don't be married to the idea of winning right away. And trading for Dak kind of does put you in a position where you're probably more competitive, given that realistically he ain't going up in value anytime soon.
Sure, but I would also say that you're getting off a riskier asset, in my opinion, with Penix, and you're getting a quarterback that we can peg to be a top 12 level point per game scorer when he's on the field, and a guy that, I mean, outside of like your only concern is outside of injury, like that's the only concern at this point. If he plays, he's going to maintain.
It's just that he doesn't
value.
fit your build. That's the only concern I have.
Yeah. Again, I think this team can
if you do that Dak move and get Reed, what I would suggest doing is trading Odunze and Ayuk for similar tier wide receivers who are going to be more productive.
It's just I got to make that move from a value perspective. I have to.
Yeah, that's fine. If you determine that you have to make that move from a value perspective and you're going to get Dak and Reed in the third, I would then suggest pivoting off of Caleb Johnson, Rome Odunze, and Brandon Ayuk, and probably Jaden Higgins as well, who are all capable, valuable assets that you could pivot into similarly valued assets with better production. It almost just kind of makes the decision for me is my only point.
Yeah. And I think that's reasonable. Again, like if that's the offer that you have at the table, this is the type of team that I'm okay making that pivot with.
Yeah, for sure. Again, sometimes you just got to take offers when they gift wrap themselves to you. But regardless, for your first startup, being ranked 1 is a good start. So that's
good team
in good shape for that. And it is a good team. And a year from now, it's going to be in probably better shape once you get some of those players developing, if you can hit on them. But let's move into Big Al's team. He's in the chat. He said, my team is bad. So this is going to be a little bit more of a challenging thing here. He says tanking for Vontae Max. So he is in 9th out of 10, 2 quarterback, 10 team start, 11.
We got some context, by the way. Big Al says, I'm so embarrassed by how bad it got. I had the most points for year 1, won the ship year 2, and then dropped off a cliff, 1-21 in the last 2 years. Okay, so we, tanking for Vontae Mack. I think I recognize that team name, and if I do, I kind of know where we're in store for. So you guys are ready for this. Have had a DD on this team before? Okay, it is bad. It's the team I'm thinking of.
Yeah, he said can't seem to trade for future picks. Thinking of drafting Tet, Omar, Dart, and Harvey with the first 3 picks. I would assume Tet/Omar is what he means there. Would you do that? Trade out this year? What picks make sense to use now? Trade for the future? Who can I sell for future picks? So obviously this is probably one of those teams where you're not looking to win right away. I mean, at 105, again, he said Omar/Tet.
I believe this is an IDP league too, if I remember it correctly.
Okay, well, you're probably more so looking at McMillan, I would imagine. I can't see Omar falling to 105 in many people's leagues. I haven't seen him fall really beyond the 103 for the most part. So I think that it'll probably be McMillan on the best case scenario. On the worst case scenario, I mean, you're probably looking at Ward or Travion Henderson falling to you. Maybe you have some insight that they won't, like one of them is going to go ahead. Hopefully you get McMillan because McMillan would be the best fit for your team specifically. Yeah. And I didn't see you mention a tight end here, but you should have, because at 110 and at 202, frankly, I would be very interested in getting a tight end with either of those picks. Like if you at 110, for example, you have Egbuka slide to you and you can't pass on Egbuka for a tight end or whatever. You grab Egbuka with the 110 at 202, you get patient. You go, okay, at 111, 112, 201. If once I see Loveland go or whatever, maybe you slide up. You slide up a pick or 2, go get Warren. You slide up, go get Loveland, something like that. That's what I would do with this team. Given 105, 110, 202, I would like to walk out of this class, if I can, with Ted McMillan/Hampton is what you listed here. Maybe Egbuka, Judkins, something falls to you at 110. Worst case scenario, you probably just take a tight end there. And then at 202, like you said, maybe you get an RJ Harvey sliding to you. It is a 10-team league, like he listed.
Yeah, okay,
so you are probably going to be guaranteed. Honestly, knowing that's a 10-team league now, 110, I would just hope and pray that Judkins or Egbuka falls to you, because you're going to get a tight end at 202, no problem.
Yeah. Respectively too, like even if the IDPs were in, like we're not much help there. So kind of like better for us. But I just remembered you submitting it in the old DD format with the IDPs. That's why I kind of made reference to the fact that I recognize this team. Yeah, it is unfortunate. Obviously, I'm assuming that you probably invested in Jonathan Brooks last offseason. That hasn't paid off, to say the least. And then at that point, like Javon Baker
doesn't have his one next year too, which is not great. I mean, 301, 401, 402, 407, 408, 409. Those are the picks I'm not married to spending at all. If you want to punt those into the 26 and 27 class, like if somebody will give you for the 308 a 27, 2, like if you're in a casual league, some people will still do that because they want that pick right now. Definitely try and do that. He did say he's having a hard time, trading for picks and that kind of thing. Package a couple of them together if you have to get a higher valued pick in a future class. But here's the thing. 105, 110, 202. You could walk away with 3 pretty solid players. I'm not saying you're going to compete this year. Definitely won't in a 10-team league. Yeah. But mid-season, throughout the season, look for a selling window on Chuba Hubbard if you can. Look for a selling window on Brandon Ayuk if you can. Let's say he's back on the field producing, looks healthy, that kind of stuff. And try and churn this into the 2026 class. As we talked about, when you have a fraud, which is what this team kind of is, because if you trade away your first round pick, you're kind of automatically in a competing window, and this team can't compete. Well, you should probably go and get your one back.
There's one specific option to getting your one back, in my opinion. Can you point it out, Bush?
Is it one of your quarterbacks for the 101?
Michael Penix.
Yeah, Michael Penix or any of the quarterbacks really other than May. I would say if you can use Bryce Young to get your pick back or use Michael Penix to get your pick back, that would be ideal because – I mean, in a 10-team league, those guys are going to hold a little bit less value than they would in a 12-team league. But
who has this pick? Can we scroll?
Yeah, let's take a look at who has this pick.
Probably one or two in terms of pick value
for next year's class.
Check worthy of a reset.
Worthy of a reset. Yeah, it looks like he has his pick, and he could use a quarterback. I mean, he's going to be picking 102 and 104. I would imagine he'll take Cam Ward with the 104 potentially. If he doesn't, and he wants a quarterback, definitely float out the idea of trading him Penix or Bryce or something for your pick. Very good chance. If this guy's tanking for a rebuild or a reset, he's probably aware enough to know that your pick is going to be relatively high. Yeah. So you're probably going to have to pay for it as if it's an early first rounder. If by some miracle he doesn't think that, then you're in great shape. But for the most part, I would say, first order of business is definitely if you could spend those picks and get good value for them. If you can punt them to future picks, obviously do that too. But you mentioned you're having a hard time doing that. But go get your one if you can. That would be first order of business for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Chasing Breaker says he might want Penix more than Ward. Like, what if he doesn't want to take the risk on Ward? A lot of people have said, Penix would have been higher than him in last year's class anyways, that kind of thing. Yeah, in advance of the rookie draft, maybe shot Penix in that situation. But this is going to be a long road ahead. You're going to have some work to do during the season. Any open value windows, a couple big games from Shakir, trying to sell him. A couple big games from Dontavian Wicks, probably trying to sell him. The inevitable Justice Hill 2 receiving touchdown game, probably try and cash out for 2/3 or something like that. Look for selling windows on a lot of your players. Anthony Richardson also probably needs to go as well because he is a very risky asset. You don't want to be holding a player like that. Maybe you're forced to hold him until the season starts. Like he wins out the job over Daniel Jones. Maybe week 1.
Well, that was the main thing why I said sell. If you could sell Penix for your own pick now, because worst case scenario with Anthony Richardson, like he's worth holding out on this team specifically because you're so at debt in terms of value.
Yeah.
Him showing signs early and maybe reclaiming some value is going to be more valuable to hold as a volatile asset as your quarterback 3 than cashing it on Penix right now, who already has a market value. So for me personally, if I have to choose between the quarterbacks, I believe in Young more than I do Penix. And while I believe in Penix more than I do Anthony Richardson's comparative market value is just so much lower at this point that if you can get your own first back for fucking Anthony Richardson,
I mean, you won't. I'm just saying
that's what I mean. It's
look
like
for a selling window on Richardson. Maybe it'll come in the form of him winning the job. Maybe it'll come in the form of week 2 of the season. He's got 3 rushing touchdowns already. You know what I mean? Like look for selling windows on Richardson, on Flacco too. Like somebody has a quarterback injury, go float Flacco out to them as like a patchwork solution during the year. Cause I'm sure Flacco will probably start a good majority of the games for the Browns, in my opinion. Same goes for Rodgers. The second he signs with Pittsburgh or something like that, maybe try and get off of him. So you have opportunities to cash out on some players. Your goal at this point in time is to just get as many picks as humanly possible into the 2026 and to the 2027 class. But like you said, you're having some trouble doing that. Just keep on plugging away, man. Find your buyers. Don't just put in the group chat, I'm looking for picks. Like, you got to go and
you
find.
got to go out there and you got to seek trades. That's the one thing people are like, oh yeah, my league is inactive, this and that. It's like, well, are you actually messaging people personally? Are you
or are you just throwing Anthony Richardson on the trade block and hoping that somebody's going to send you a fleece deal?
Like, realistically, I don't check my sleeper notifications when people put somebody on the block. You know when I check my notifications, Corey?
When someone's in my DMs or sends me an exploding offer or something.
Showing interest. Like, that's the thing. It's like, if you're interested in making a deal, show somebody that you're interested in making a deal. A little inclusion on the trade block isn't going to pique somebody's interest. You know what's going to pique their interest is asking, hey, are you interested in said player? Or I'm interested in working a deal out for one of your players. Engage the conversation, because you never know where it'll lead to. And actually, it's funny because we did on my own Dynasty Decisions a couple years ago, and I mentioned this in the Mickey Mouse League, but I ended up making the deal for Josh Allen initially, and it was like the Fields and Lamb for London and Allen deal. I believe it was the trade that I ended up doing. Plus, like, a future first-round pick was in there. I don't remember the exact deal, but initially that deal was a completely different deal, and we ended up working towards that trade through a couple of texts, like maybe like 20 minutes of texting. Like, you never know.
There's plenty of times too that, like, I talked about this. I did a video last year, I believe, called Dynasty Trade Secrets or something like that. Yeah. And a couple of the things that I mentioned is actively send out offers, use the exploding offer feature. Cause I know when I get an exploding offer that says it's going to expire in 24 hours, I'm excited to check out that deal. It's a feature that Sleeper added about a year ago that I think is really cool. Also, on your initial offer too, make sure it's something that they would want. Like, don't send a rebuilding team, Mike Evans or something. Like, they don't probably want that player. And maybe pay 10% more than you think you should on your initial offer to pique their interest. You don't want to be sending out trash offers that are just going to get auto declined and they never want to engage with you.
Speaking of trade offers, you should check the one in FSE Listener League from a few days ago.
Yes, I probably should check that. Also, it seems like my whole league is super high on the 26 class. They're more happy to give up a 25-2 when I ask for a 26-3. Yeah, I mean, go after 25-2s if they're going to give them up. Go punt into 2027 as well. Like,
get 27 picks.
Definitely getting 27 picks is going to be beneficial to you, because if for whatever reason they're high on the 26 class, I don't know why your league mates are so dumb. Yeah, because it's not very good. But the 27 class is the one they should be high on. So that if they're not aware or hip to who's in that class, definitely take advantage of that. But we could probably move on to the next team here, which is from Short Bartu. What am I can't read, dude. I just we've learned on this channel that I just simply can't read.
Okay.
S Bartu 52. First year of Dynasty. A lot of first year Dynasty players here. Just finished the startup draft. What should I do with my team? Overall, I think I'm a year or two away from my winning window. Overall strategy was to go 0 RB, load up on wide receiver talent. With that, should I trade CeeDee Lamb for future picks / more long-term?
Depends what the offer is. That generalization, if you're just selling CeeDee to sell CeeDee, no.
Yeah, exactly. So, again, he punted running back out of the startup. And I would say, given that you punted running back and still have Trevion Henderson as your RB1, you're in pretty good shape. Plus, between all these rookies and some of these other guys, I would venture a guess to say that you'll be able to find a startable running back every single week for your RB2 slot. Maybe
are you moving a Higgins or a Williams for a running back here if you can get one?
Yeah, Higgins specifically would be an interesting guy to move for a running back. I actually dude, for a one quarterback league, Drake May can be a viable starter for you. Colston Loveland, this is a young team, so I wouldn't go overboard and buy Joe Mixon on this roster. No. But I will say,
plug it in.
What do we say all the time? This is the shell of a house money window, right? Because you have a young quarterback like Drake May, young tight end like Colston Loveland. A lot of what happens to your team in terms of how competitive you're going to be is going to depend on your onesies, I would say. How good is Loveland right away? How good is Drake May for you right away? Because if those guys are, let's say, positional advantages, let's say Loveland's a top 6 tight end and May is a top 8 quarterback or something, your receiver core is going to be able to carry you through your flex and for the most part. And Henderson can lock down a running back spot for you. You might be a running back away from being a competitive team, let's say by week 3, week 5 or something like that. You're looking at this roster, you're like, dude, May's balling out. Loveland looks like a great option. And you might be able to make a move at that point. But I wouldn't be in a rush with a team like this, I guess is my point.
Take a look at who has Chuba Hubbard.
Chuba Hubbard. This guy right here has Chuba Hubbard.
Okay, so It's out of a startup. There's probably a newer league. Punt team on deck. So is he punting this year? Is probably key context.
I mean, yeah, he'd be
I'm
interested in
He
selling
doesn't have.
Hubbard if
He doesn't have a
was.
2 or a 3 though. Is what I'm confused on.
Maybe he just thinks his team sucks.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to assume that guy's going to try to compete. Let's go to the next option here. Let's look at David Montgomery.
See, I just don't
Kenneth
agree
Walker?
that I would be trading for a guy like David Montgomery with the state of his team.
Just listen to me. Go to Kenneth
I'm
Walker
going
as
to
well.
him. I'm looking for him. I just don't think that would be the type of player I would go after. Yeah, this guy is David Montgomery.
Yeah. I'm moving Jaden Higgins for David Montgomery or Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I mean, Walker would be, I would be much more interested in Walker just given that he's like 3-4 years younger than David Montgomery.
Yeah.
I would just see what happens by week 4, week 5 here. This is that would be what I would do. If you want to move Jaden Higgins for a running back, you could definitely do it. I would only do it for a young running back though, personally.
Did you tell me you changed Jaden Higgins into a productive running back from the early onset of this season? This is a top team to be able to win it this year.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you sold Jaden Higgins plus that 26-3 for Caleb Johnson, I would rather do that though.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if that's available, sure. I'm just saying specifically, like if you can't get an RJ Harvey, a Caleb Johnson, or even higher, like a James Cook level running back, I'm perfectly comfortable sending my Higgins for a Hubbard, a Walker, a Montgomery type. That would be like the line. Like I wouldn't just do it for like Mixon or Alvin Kamara unless you're getting a plus on top, but I would be comfortable doing it straight up for those 3 running backs I mentioned.
Did we switch bodies before the stream? You're kind of a high T running back, bro, today.
Well, because the key context is out of a startup, right? If it's a start 9 PPR 12 team league and it's first year out of the startup, like I just think this team has enough in it to be able to compete, and you don't have to give up your future.
I don't think the quarterback and tight end are sure things enough to do that. That was my point when you were looking up the trade, is that I said this team is hinging upon your tight end and your quarterback being productive, which might not be the case. You still have a second-year quarterback. And
let's take a look at the other contenders in this league, because I think the wide receiver equity alone is like one of the best that you can see in this league.
Of course, but like Burrow and Ingram, and as far as production-wise, they're going to be more productive than Drake May and Colston Loveland this season.
And I think that's reasonable.
Bowers, Mahomes, like...
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield, Freiermuth is going to be comparable, I would say. I think
the running back
more productive than May.
What's the running back wide receiver depth on the Mahomes Bowers team?
He's got Andrews, or running back and wide receiver depth. I mean, he's in decent shape at running back. He's got Connor to play right away. Hampton, wide receiver wise, I think he's in a better shape. Yeah,
I mean, maybe you want to wait it until you see what Loveland's giving you right away.
That was my whole point, is that I don't think you're in a rush with a team like this. I don't think
you're in a rush. I don't think you're in a rush, but I don't mind escorting some of the wide receiver value that you currently have into the running back position. And realistically, a Jaden Higgins, who's probably at least 5th most consequential wide receiver on your team, I'm comfortable making that move. Because especially, too, you're looking at it from a starting perspective. Like, let's just look at the starting lineup. Drake May, Trevion Henderson are going to be locks. CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, JSN are going to be locked. So that's already, 5 players in your lineup. Colston Loveland's going to be your starting tight end. Then at that point, you need 3 flexes between a running back, which if you have like a Kenneth Walker, Chuba Hubbard, Dave Montgomery type, that's going to be one of them. And then you also have guys like, Emeka Egbuka, Stephon Diggs. Like maybe the depth is a little spotty, but again, I don't think anybody has good depth outside of a startup.
Yeah, my point is that the players that you have are valuable more in kind of 2026 and beyond. So I wouldn't be in a rush to trade for an aging running back myself, personally. I think this team is very well aligned out of the startup. It's clear what your goal is. This year, you're going to see what happens, see how Loveland performs as a rookie tight end,
this year,
see how Drake May performs as a second-year quarterback. Mid-season comes, week 5, week 6, then you trade for a David Montgomery if you want to. That's what my opinion would be.
I think it's reasonable. I guess like maybe too, this is something that you wait until August. Like if the signs are like, oh yeah, Tootin can get a workload right away, maybe you hold off. If the signs are, okay, maybe Tootin's more of a reserve right now, but JSN's carving up camp and fucking Stephon Diggs looks like himself and you feel more comfortable with your wide receiver win now equity, then at that point, moving to Higgins for a Kenneth Walker, a Chuba Hubbard, a Dave Montgomery would make more sense. Really, this is the type of team, just wait and see at least until August what you're kind of hearing in terms of expectations for potential workloads, at least right off the bat with your running back core, and make that determination. Because who knows, for example, like, again, knock on wood, I'm not wishing anything to existence, but what if Jonathan Taylor pulls his hamstring week 3 of preseason and now DJ Giddens could be in store for a workload weeks 1 to 4?
That was my entire point. Is like I would just like to wait and see with this team, and my no flocking
Aaron
team
Jones
is
as well.
similar to this. was like, I had running backs that were all young, like Corum types and those type of dudes. I'm like, let's just see if anybody emerges. And Chase Brown ended up emerging for me. And I wasn't really ready to compete last year. And I ended up getting the 103 and I added Amari and Hampton to the team. And now my team looks like a juggernaut. That's my team. My thought on this is that this team could be a juggernaut a year from now if you don't rush things. That would be my point.
Yeah, again, I'm not suggesting rush it. I'm just saying, like, I'm more willing to commit to a contending year this year if the stars align and my team's telling me that.
Yeah. That's fine. And again, that would be dependent on a lot of things is my only last point on that. Anyways, a couple people asking about vouchers in the chat. Ambiguity probably won't be giving out any vouchers today because we do have about 12, 13 teams to break down. And then Gnome Child says, any idea when Mason's stream is? If Mason's still in the chat, he can answer that question for you. I have absolutely no idea when he intends to stream next.
Let me know or let him know, Mason, if you're in here.
But yeah, we can move on to the next team. I think, I mean, for me, this is a 1 year punt, but yeah, wait and see what happens. Maybe make a move if one crops itself up there. Moving on to Captain Land R here. He says, the only player that I won't trade irrationally is Lamar Jackson. Oh, last thing on S Bart U. The Lamb thing, he said, should I trade Lamb? I would just hold him. I think he's going to be totally fine. Unless you get like an absolute Godfather 3-4 first round.
Like you get offered like a Lamb and a 2 for Hunter and 3 1s. Okay, maybe at that point you trade Lamb, but like
your team's, even if your team was bad this year and you punted and you had the 104 in next year's rookie class, Lamb will be just fine beyond that. Anyways, Captain Landar says Lamar Jackson basically is the only one he doesn't want to trade irrationally. His favorite player in the NFL. Again, everybody else. It's fair game. He says this is an old undergrad roommates plus buddies league. So he knows these guys in real life, obviously.
Those are the most fun.
20, yeah, exactly. 208 Ferrari Way is his team. Very, young, inexperienced in terms of the running back position. Does have a couple great wide receivers with St. Brown, Nico, Jackson Smith, and Jig, but Jake Ferguson really his only tight end at the moment. It is a super flex league. So, I mean, Lamar and Dak are going to be your main quarterbacks, but you're pretty weak across the board. You have a couple really, really good assets, but not a whole lot behind them.
This is 100% a retool team. And in fact, I'd even be willing to transition some of your pillars into younger versions of those pillars. Like, for example, if you can transfer Amon-Ra and Nico into similar to your wide receivers, Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., younger options, even if it costs you like a 2 to be able to make that deal, I'd be willing to in this instance. This is a complete retool for me. This is a team that I'd be willing to get younger across the season. And then once you're able to cash in the majority of your pick equity next year, I think you go into a house money contending situation. But for the most part, for me, there's just not enough win equity this year to be able to fully compete.
Yeah, and I think a good example of some of those type of moves is maybe you see what you can get going from Dak Prescott to Bryce Young or to JJ McCarthy or to some younger quarterback that's going to help you more in the long term.
I mentioned it specifically with the pillars, but you can say that really across the full roster. Like, again, the Amon-Ra to even Hunter Plus or Nico to BTJ or options like that.
Ted McMillan or, those type of players, Lad McConkey Plus or something.
You mentioned Dak to one of those young quarterback options, Bryce Young, JJ McCarthy, guys like that. Jake Ferguson, maybe you can get to Kyle Pitts because that guy wants a more steady redraft projection this year. And maybe he likes Ferguson because the offense projects, but I don't know. Regardless though, those would be the types of moves that I'd be making. If you can get the overall age demographic of this team to just strictly, 23, 24 or under, I think that's about the spot you want to be.
Yeah, there's a good chance that your own pick will probably be between 103 and 106 next year, I would imagine. Yeah. It's probably not a bad enough team that you're going to be like the 101 or the 102. But if, like you said, we can pivot. Let's say somebody offered me Lad McConkey and 2 2s for Amon-Ra St. Brown. I would probably take a deal like that because I'm getting younger, adding another young wide receiver.
Find some exact deals for him.
Yeah, let's see if we can find some exact deals is right. Let's maybe look for some teams at the top that would be interested in buying some of those competitive assets. I mean, you got Xavier Worthy on this roster.
Can you find me Hunter?
Yeah, let's see where Hunter is. Let's look around here. Moneyball. This guy might be interesting. I mean, this guy's Harrison. We could potentially go after Harrison from St. Brown and see if you could get would you take Harrison, a 26-2, and I don't know, maybe a young piece from his roster like Jalen Knoll or something like that?
What I'd be interested in is seeing if you can get Harrison and a 1 for a Amon-Ra and a piece back that maybe has more win now equity. Let me see if we go here.
Yeah, maybe you could give him Amon-Ra and Jake Ferguson or something. Does he need a tight end? Yeah, I mean, he could use Jake Ferguson potentially. Yeah. Maybe he could take Cedric Tillman or something like that.
Yeah, I think those are good offers if you can get that done. Maybe you have to add worst case scenario, you have to add a 2. Like I'd be reasonable doing that move. Let's see where Travis Hunter is, because this would be the other option with Nico.
Yeah.
Hunter,
So this guy is Hunter. He also has Addison Igbuka. Like if you could transition both Nico Collins and Amon-Ra St. Brown into Travis Hunter, Emeka Igbuka, these 2 firsts.
Yes.
Or something like that would be great. Or maybe a first in 26 and a first in 27 or something if he doesn't want to give up those ones or something. Yeah. I would say getting creative by trying to get younger and tier down there would be really, really smart on your part.
And this guy needs a tight end. Say, hey, listen, like I think you can potentially push your chips to try to compete. If we make this deal, again, like you said, Hunter, Igbuka, 2 1s for Nico Collins plus Amon-Ra St. Brown. And maybe you offer him Jake Ferguson and he throws you back a 3 or something.
Or just take Fannin. Just take Fannin for Ferguson.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like you have the optionality there, but regardless, if you can make a deal that significantly lowers the age demographic of this team, and even if you can stockpile some more liquidity on top, like I said, if you do the Hunter and Emeka deal and you bank on 2 extra 2026 ones, then at that point you completely transition this team from a soft contending situation where you're currently at. Like yeah, technically you have 2 2s as well, but like it's not like you have a ton of overwhelming future value, especially in the context of the fact that there's a guy in the league with 8,000 more value than anybody else.
Yeah, like realistically, your only path, like this guy's a monster, and his team's like really, really top heavy, obviously, with a lot.
And he has a lot of picks too.
Yeah, he has a lot of picks. Like your only path to competing realistically would be to sell all your picks and walk away with Mixons and Montgomerys and Camaras and stuff to fill out your running back core. Maybe you get a Devontae Adams to add to the wide receiver core. But then it's like, could you do that? Yeah, but you also could be proactive if the deals are on the table for you. I do want to hammer home that it's possible that nothing like that is on the table for you. And you're kind of just stuck in limbo here and you don't really have a whole lot of moves in front of you. What you can then do is determine, okay, maybe my league market isn't really one that is looking to, most league markets want to compete, never want to rebuild. But if your league market's like, I want to hold my picks, I'm not giving up my picks, then maybe it actually is the correct path for you to maybe try and pivot into adding some, productive running backs to this team, productive wide receivers to this team. Because if you're going to get, productive value for 80, 90 cents on the dollar, then this team has bones to be very competitive.
I'm assuming for the most part, because of the context that it's with his undergrad buddies and his buddies from home, that it's probably more of a redraft centric mindset.
Of course. And that's why we defaulted to let's try and get younger, try and collect picks, because in leagues that I've played, me and my home redraft buddies tried to start a dynasty league and they were giving away first round picks like they were absolutely nothing. So
people will give first round picks for Matthew Stafford if you don't convince them what market value actually is.
Yeah, exactly. So again, this guy, if he thinks, hey, I could compete if things break right, who knows, man? Maybe he'll give you Caleb Johnson too, because he's a rookie running back. If you give him back some other things.
You have DeAndre Swift or something? No,
he doesn't really have anybody competitive at running back. I mean, the thing with this team is you want to see it grow up together, which is why you want to get a little bit younger, add picks, add young players. If you walked away with, Hunter, Igbuka, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, the rest of this wide receiver core, plus all these running backs, maybe a calendar year from now, 2 of these running backs hit, you have 3 1s to be able to add more running backs, more wide receivers, that kind of thing. That's what you're looking to do with this roster. A year from now, this roster should look a little bit different, have more picks. That is what you are trying to accomplish if you can. Again, maybe it's not possible, but we're kind of going through the most likely scenario given the information that you gave us, which is that this is, home redraft league buddies who started a dynasty league by the sounds of it. So we could probably move into the next team here for Big P Walk. We do have a couple more teams here. If you guys see yourself in the queue, I believe AJ also cashed in a review as well. So he'll be at the very end of this. If you guys are looking for a review, you can definitely get them. They're starred in the chat right now. But yeah, those are all listed there. Big P Walk, I believe he's in the chat right now. Any moves you guys looking to make before the league starts? CMC is on the block, but not sure what to give up for him. / is he needed for his roster? And then he says may have overspent to get Warren, gave up AJ Brown and Josh Jacobs for Warren and Addison. So, I mean, I think that's a bit steep personally. He said felt safe with his wide receiver room, and he also got RJ Harvey at the 112. So his team is a rehab facility here. I mean, I would have kept AJ personally. I think he would have made a bigger difference to your starting lineup. But
like it's tough because you desperately did need a young tight end to add, like knowing that you have Kelsey, you have Henry, Gatson, like not really a true core to be able to fully compete with. However, the rest of the shell of your team is that of a competitive team. And to be honest, if we're just looking at the market value that you gave up, if we go back up to the deal,
Yeah, like especially
like,
he also gave Jacobs and
like,
AJ up too. Like Jacobs and AJ would have made this team really good.
like if you give up AJ Brown and sorry, what was it AJ Brown and who was the second piece?
Jacobs.
And Jacobs, AJ Brown and Jacobs
for Addison and Warren, like you sold low there, man. I think had you like think about the redraft projection of all the players
that's
that
what
you
I mean.
had
It's
at one point. Like Lamar Jackson, Tua as it's actually a one quarterback league. So Lamar is your number one quarterback. Jonathan Taylor and Jacobs would have been your RB1 and 2. Chase, Nakua, AJ Brown would be your 2 wide receivers and 1 flex as a start 8. So that's
what was the second piece you got with Warren? Sorry,
Addison.
It's
just not good enough. Like if you told me you got McConkey in 111, that would be one thing. But even then, I think that's probably still a slight sell low.
No, I would do that value because I'd prefer
in a half PPR though. Like Jacobs can be a dude, man.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too. Plus, you could have gotten like a better win now tight end for the context of your build. I love
tight
Warren
end premium too. Warren loses value there too.
I like Warren a lot, but realistically, you could have gotten plus on top of Kittle for what you paid on this deal. Like you could have gotten Kittle probably plus a first for what you gave up.
For AJ Brown and Josh Jacobs, you should have gotten McBride and like someone like that. Like to be honest,
well, that's the thing. It's like even if you were going to do this type of deal, it was Warren and Addison. You could have probably gotten like Kittle in a wide receiver that's like T. Higgins.
Yeah, I think you just sold low. I got maybe you like Warren,
Kittle? Let me see Kittle.
The non-tight end premium half PPR. Like Jacobs is going to be really valuable in a format like that, and AJ scores a lot of touchdowns too. So I would say that you definitely sold low there. I get you got some rookie fever. You love Tyler Warren or whatever, but I would have just been cool with Kelsey there if I'm being honest. And then if you had to like sell DJ Moore for a tight end, a young tight end, if you want something like that.
Show me Kittle. Curious. Probably the top 5 team for sure. I'd assume.
Tight end 3, tight end.
No way,
George.
Yeah, it's there. No, Njoku too though. Look at Njoku.
Kittle. This guy is Kittle.
Njoku as well is the backup to Loveland, man. Like you could. Okay, wait. Let's look at the deal right now. It was Warren and Addison. You could have gotten Njoku and McConkey.
You could have gotten McConkey and Njoku for sure, easily. Probably just for AJ Brown. Like you give him AJ Brown plus something small, you probably could have gotten McConkey and Njoku for that.
I think you could have, because that guy also like look at his running back core. He would have wanted a running back too.
Yeah, I just think you sold low. Honestly, I just think you sold low. Yeah, but anyways, we can stop beating the crap out of him for this trade. Regardless, now this is the state of your team now, realistically, because what's done is done. You have
a really good spot. You're number 3 on the analyzer, and you don't have your 2026 picks, but you got all your 2027s. It's just tough because I think this is one that could really compete for the championship this year, and you completely downgraded your win now equity.
Yeah, like AJ is a top 15 underdog pick, and Josh Jacobs a top 25 underdog pick, and probably a huge value where he's going currently.
Warren's a 9th rounder, and Addison's like a fucking 4th rounder, 5th rounder.
Yeah, like
he doesn't go to 4th. He goes like 5th, right?
Especially knowing that you had Kelsey too. Like, because if you had nothing, if you had Henry and Gatson, it's like, okay, you kind of needed a tight end. I get it. Yeah. But like as a short-term contender with the team that you had currently, I would have just been like, yeah, I have Kelsey this year. Kelsey can produce.
At that point, you just buy Noah Gray for biscuits and just hope you're insulated.
I mean, given that you have Henry as your backup, I think I'd be totally like if I had a contending team with Henry and Kelsey, I'd be totally fine with that.
Well, the reason why I was asking that is because, like, theoretically, like the only way Kelsey doesn't pay off on ADP is if his body legitimately breaks down, and we know Noah Gray's talented enough where if Kelsey did break down, he could legitimately give you tight end 1 weeks if Kelsey were out of the lineup. So, like, it's one of the few like tight end handcuff situations in Dynasty. Like, for example, Likely and Andrews, if we had suggested something like that last year, would have been a lot more cost affordable. If you mentioned drafting Andrews and Likely this year, it's just way too much of an opportunity cost. Noah Gray is basically free. And I would argue that from a talent perspective, he's right up there with Isaiah Likely, given what we saw in flashes last year.
Yeah. I think what you did to insulate yourself to give you a young tight end is exactly what I would have done, which is take a Rondé Gatson late in the rookie draft and hope that that's my young tight end that I can build around. And if it's not, then I'll take another draft tight end next year or whatever. But Kelsey, Henry, and Gadsden to me was more than fine going into the season. And Dawson Knox too. Like, I mean, Kincaid goes down with an injury. Dawson Knox is going to be a viable, usable tight end.
Sorry, I'm finding something right now. So if I asked you again, how many? Maybe I'm being obnoxious. How many games did it likely play? I likely played 16 games. Noah Gray played in 17 games. Okay, so technically speaking, Gray played in one more game. Noah Gray, 40 catches, 437 yards, 5 touchdowns. Isaiah Likely, 42 catches, 477 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And that's including a stretch at the beginning of the season where Mark Andrews is playing sub 40% of the routes.
Yeah. Noah Gray, definitely a viable.
How much cheaper is Gray right now?
He's probably pretty cheap. Danny's got a hard on for Noah Gray here, but we got to move on to the next team.
Yeah, sorry.
But anyways,
that's all Kelsey.
The team's in good shape. I personally, I know you love RJ Harvey. Obviously, you took him 112. You had a little bit of rookie fever. I would probably try and pivot off of RJ Harvey for a competitive running back because this is a team that can win. And it's unfortunate because I would have said, who do I pivot off of RJ Harvey for? I would have said Josh Jacobs, who you obviously traded. So, not a great situation in terms of that trade, but overall, your team's still in great shape and in the right spot to compete here. So let's move on to A. Bailey. We had 2 more reviews come in too. So if you don't see your name, let me just read out the username. Biederman and of course Ginger Ale. You guys will be after these guys as well. But A. Bailey's the next team we got.
One more point, sorry. So I read off the the comparable seasons between Noah Gray and Isaiah Likely. Isaiah Likely is the tight end 18 off the board on Underdog. Noah Gray's the tight end 33.
I can just leave if you just want to talk about Noah Gray.
I had to make that point. We can move on to the next team. Apologize, but I pulled it up, so I needed to speak my mind.
Daddy's Noah Gray is he's pilled. There we go. I got your last name. There you go, Jack. A. Bailey says London has fallen is his name of his team. I recently traded Kyler Murray and my second for CJ Stroud and okay. Kyler Murray and a 2 for CJ Stroud. I mean, they're in the same tier for me, but if you like CJ Stroud that much more, I do actually have CJ Stroud ranked higher. So I think
you just got a 2 back for upgrading the other quarterback.
I mean, I have Stroud ahead of Kyler Murray.
No. You didn't listen to me. I said you just got the 2 back for upgrading your second quarterback.
Justin Herbert for Drake May in an early second. Yeah, I see what you mean. Dude, how many times are we going to say Justin Herbert is so overrated, bro? You get Drake May and a second for Justin Herbert? He should be on none of your guys' teams listening to this if that's the price he's going for.
Yeah, that's a sand eater move.
Justin Herbert got outproduced by Drake May last year with no quarterback, with no weapons, no offensive line, and no coaching.
Bro, what are we doing? Why like Drake May literally goes before? Like, let me confirm this. Actually,
he goes over him in underdog.
Drake May, sorry. Actually, he goes 1 pick after Herbert, which is already
ridiculous. Justin Herbert's like my QB 21 in redraft this year.
Yeah, sure. I want a quarterback that's going to throw the ball 480 times and can't insulate himself with 15 tush pushes.
Dude, Justin Herbert will rank like top 5 in EPA per play probably, but also finish quarterback 19 in points per game. Like, I mean, he's the total disconnect between fantasy quarterback and real life quarterback right now.
Yeah, I may as well move off the young superstar fantasy producer for a quarterback that was 31st in pass rate over expectation weeks 1 to 7.
Fucking social media quarterbacks. Yeah, anyways,
for what it's worth, I think Herbert in real life is a fucking monster. But like, what are we doing? We're playing fantasy football here, boys.
Yeah. Do these trades affect my competing window? I mean, I think they improve. I mean, you got younger, so I would say maybe you're a little bit less productive. But like, dude, Stroud is way more like insulated long term than Kyler Murray, and Drake May will be literally more productive and is younger than Justin Herbert.
You just upgraded your 2.
Yeah,
and you got a better quarterback situation.
I have some concerns about my depth, especially with my QB3. Thank you guys and love the content. So. You are A. Bailey, which is London has fallen, the first team. Okay, so I mean, you shouldn't have too many concerns considering you're number 1 at 2 of the positions here with Brock Bowers at tight end, Malik Neighbors, Drake London, Nico Collins, Marvin Harrison, Lam McConkey. I mean, I hope you're not concerned about your wide receiver depth because that is loaded at that position. Kenneth Walker, Caleb Johnson, Tootin, Charbonnet, Dobbins, Corum. You can get by with that.
You know
is it perfect? No, but I can get by with that running back core. You're going to have an advantage at tight end, obviously, and then your top 2 quarterbacks are very, very solid, and you have all your future picks except for your 26-2, and you have somebody else's.
Go find me Chase Brown.
Yeah, Chase Brown would be a good fit for this team. I mean, this guy's Brees. Brees would also make some sense, but he's probably thinking he's competitive given that he has Henry and Kamara, so he probably wouldn't be looking to trade him. I mean, this guy's got a bad team and could be looking to move Jacobs. He would be an interesting guy to go after. This guy's Hubbard, maybe an interesting guy to go after. This guy is just a loaded running back core. You might be able to snipe Irving off of him for one of your receivers. Like you have such good receivers. Like, would you swap would you swap McConkey for Irving straight in a trade? I'm just curious.
No.
I don't think I would, but if I got something small on top of Irving, I would be fine with that.
Well, let's go back and see his receivers.
He has like a loaded receiver core.
Like, can I add a second to London to get Bijan?
Yeah, or can you add a second? I don't think.
Can I trade London and
Harrison to get Bijan? Like Harrison's got a lot of hype right now.
Can I trade London and Walker for Bijan and Pickens?
Yeah, that would make some sense.
Yeah,
there's moves to be made with a team like this. I mean, this guy's McCaffrey in a terrible team. He might be looking to sell low on McCaffrey potentially. Like you have your own 26-1. This guy does not have his one. If all you have to spend is a 26-1 to get McCaffrey, I'd be willing to do that also.
Go back to Chase Brown.
Was this the Chase Brown team? Yeah, this is the Chase Brown team.
Yeah, you offer this guy. You say, hey,
this guy is like his third best receiver is Kayshon Boutte.
Yeah, like offer him Kenneth Walker plus Ricky Pearsall and go down here to his team for Chase Brown and
I would just say Chase Brown probably.
I think you can get something back knowing the market right now. Like Ricky Pearsall, people are hyping up.
Maybe give you Cousins as you don't have a third quarterback right now. Maybe just give you Cousins, throw him in.
I think you might even be able to get a bigger piece. Like you might
likely.
I was gonna say like a 2.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, there's moves to be made with a team like this, in my opinion. I would like to keep Walker because I actually think he's kind of undervalued from a redraft standpoint right now.
If you get Chase Brown,
I would just sell my 26-1 for Chase Brown if I were in his position.
Maybe, but like if it's minimal to upgrade from Walker to Chase Brown, who I literally have as a top 8 redraft.
But then you're faced with the same problem, only it's just that Chase Brown's better than Walker.
I don't think it's a problem. You're upgrading your point equity dramatically.
But you're downgrading if you just trade for Chase Brown, your RB2 becomes Kenneth Walker.
Sure, well, that's why I said check the cost on the market because I don't think the market actually has Chase Brown a whole lot ahead of where Kenneth Walker is.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you can transition them straight up into each other, that's totally fine. But my point is that I would like to keep Kenneth Walker and go get Chase Brown.
Which I don't hate in theory, but I would prefer Caleb Johnson straight up over Kenneth Walker. If Kenneth Walker can get me Chase Brown and I only have to add a biscuit to be able to do it, like I'm doing that. Like I said, the Chase Brown plus a second for Kenneth Walker plus Ricky Pearsall deal, like that's free cash in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe this guy is looking to really pivot himself into a rebuilding window too, and maybe he would give you Chase Brown and James Cook or Chase Brown and RJ Harvey for one of your like good receivers, like Marvin or McConkey. Like, what if he gave you Harvey and Chase Brown for McConkey?
I'd rather move the Walker deal.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I maybe we're just going to differ when it comes to redraft on Kenneth Walker, but I actually quite like him. So
yeah, but you have Charbonnet, so like you have investment in the backfield. I like Walker, but he ain't Chase Brown any way you sniff it. Where do you have him ranked?
What's up?
Where do you have him ranked? Because I don't think it's a difference. I just think if you only have to add a little bit to move up from Walker to Brown, you do it 100% of the time.
I agree. I just want to keep Walker, as I keep saying.
But where do you have Walker ranked? Because you said difference in terms of where we have them ranked. I think I might
in redraft or in Dynasty.
Redraft.
In redraft, I have Kenneth Walker.
17.
Yeah, I have him RB17, but he's in a tier with Breece Hall 13, Mixon 14, Chuba Hubbard 15, James Cook 16, Alvin Kamara 18.
Yeah, like I have him 19, and the only two differences I'm assuming, like I have Henderson over him, you don't, and but you have Mixon over him. Okay, who's the other one? You have him over Amari and Hampton?
Yeah, I do.
No, Corey.
I think from a redraft standpoint, Amari and Hampton's going to be in a bit of a committee for the first little bit of the season. Who outscores who?
Write it down. Amari and Hampton versus Kenneth Walker. Write it down.
I don't want to. I'm not confident in that take.
Hey, I have them 15 and 19, and if you have them close, like you should make the bet. Like cheer for your guy.
I'm not confident enough in it to make that bet. They're like literally. They're 17 and 19. It's really close.
I have conviction on my guy, and I have him 15 versus 19. So let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, I should probably move Hampton into that tier. But
if you don't have them in the same tier, you should feel confident doing the bet. No conviction.
Yeah, we're horrible at actually following through on our bets. Tom, somebody in our audience needs.
You always say you're writing them down, and half the time
I do, but I have 50 notepads beside me that I never look through. If I'm being 100% honest with the.
was gonna say, I thought I won more.
I think Kenneth Walker's underrated, man. They're talking him up. He was really good before his injuries last year. I don't know.
All right, so should I write it down in the group chat so we don't forget it, and then we'll post it in
we should make like a website that someone make a like Tom make a spreadsheet and just track all of our bets for us because we're too lazy to do it.
If you guys, if one of you guys wants to do that and send it to us, that we'd appreciate you guys a lot. It's hard to keep track of all the bets that we make throughout 3-hour live streams sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, this team, regardless, going to trade for a running back makes a lot of sense. Maybe if you could trade for a running back.
To me, I don't think Harper I said Harper. No, you're Josh Harper. My apologies. But for me, Chase Brown and Kenneth Walker aren't that close at all. Chase Brown, where are we forgetting this guy was literally one of the biggest workhorses in the league and won people chips?
So my only thing with Chase Brown versus Kenneth Walker is, let's say Chase Brown and Kenneth Walker. Chase Brown's more valuable from a redraft standpoint this year, which I think we all agree he will be.
Mm-hmm.
Chase Brown is older than Kenneth Walker, and Kenneth Walker was a former second-round pick, and both of them are...
Chase Brown is the same age as Kenneth Walker, actually.
But he's a little bit older.
Same year, though. They're both 2000.
No, I'm pretty sure that they're the same age, but Kenneth Walker was born at the end of the year, if I'm not mistaken.
Kenneth Walker, October 20th, 2000. Chase Brown...
March 21st, 2000. He is younger than Chase Brown, like I said.
What is that, a 5-month difference?
He's half a year younger than Chase Brown, and he was a second-round pick, which means he's probably way more likely to get a big contract in free agency than Chase Brown would be.
And we could talk about the draft capital 4 years ago. We could talk about the fact that one of them was objectively better than the other one.
I'm not saying he isn't better. I'm saying that from a dynasty perspective, they're closer than you're making it seem like they are, I think.
I don't think so at all, actually. In fact, like Chase Brown, we're not having the conversation of Kenneth Walker versus Jonathan Taylor. If you want to have that conversation, I think it's more credible than the one versus Chase Brown.
You're pretending Chase Brown has a insulated role, dude. He could literally be a 50-50 backfield timeshare by week 7, and it wouldn't really shock me.
He was ultra efficient this past year and averaged 5 targets per game down the stretch when he got the workload. I'm not saying he's a guarantee to do exactly what he did last year. In fact, I do think it's going to take the hit, which is why I have him at RB.
To be honest with you, I only think he's a 70-80% chance of even being a 65%.
I think that's insane. Who's taking the work? You have
Taj Brooks can play.
Taj Brooks ain't Chase Brown. He ain't.
I never said he was. Chase Brown was also behind Zach Moss on the depth chart before he took over. Also, Moss needed to go down.
We're hyping up Taj Brooks like Zach Charbonnet ain't there with Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. Charbonnet,
respectfully, Zach Charbonnet dunks on Taj Brooks, full-fledged legs either side spread out.
We have a multi-year sample size of Kenneth Walker getting the workload when they're both on the field, though. We don't have a multi-year sample size of Chase Brown getting a huge workload. We have half a year sample size of him getting a big workload.
Respectfully, Taj Brooks is a middling prospect. I don't care about him in relation to Chase Brown. I think he can carve up a role and he could beat out Zach Moss. I don't
Zach Moss, who held Chase Brown off the field.
Hey. And Zach Moss, the guy who literally broke his neck and contemplated retirement.
Well, he's back now.
Is he back? Or is he just
playing
on the Is he back or is he on the roster?
All I'm saying is I think
the guy literally broke his neck.
It feels like you're treating Chase Brown like he has a 4-year, $60 million contract. He has absolutely no insulation.
I'm treating Chase Brown like the guy who had 24 opportunities per game and literally won people leagues down the stretch last year and got worse in competition this year.
Oh, I love him. I absolutely love Chase Brown, but I'm not
Kenneth
discounting
Walker,
the fact that he might not be an absolute workhorse.
Kenneth Walker still has the running back in his backfield who was literally more productive standalone when he was out than Kenneth Walker was in the backfield himself.
Yeah. Again, I like Walker.
I don't mind him. I think he's a mid RB2 in Dynasty. He ain't sniffing Chase Brown's jockstrap. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's a little sus, but let's keep going.
Sorry,
Nino Agnello 05 just has Love Thy Neighbors. Great team name.
Did we finish off?
Yeah, we did. We just talked about Kenneth Walker and Chase Brown for 37 minutes. Just traded 110, 26 first, 2 26 thirds, Jaden Reed, Tyrone Tracy, Jonathan Brooks for CeeDee Lamb. Okay, so 2 1s and a bunch and Jaden Reed, I guess, and then a couple of inconsequential assets for CeeDee Lamb. Given that your team is 31,000 value, I would say that is a very good consolidation move. Plan on taking Genty at 101. Then 201 was between Caleb, Warren, and Loveland later in the draft. hoping Toot and Scatterboot Besh will fall. What move should I make knowing that I don't have a 27 first? Well, knowing that your team is this good, I mean, you are a little bit behind the 8 ball in terms of the running back position. But
a lot of random.
you're going to have Genty. Never mind. Hold on. Well, you're going to have Genty with this team.
That was a lot of random stuff in a start 7-10 team league. I don't care about all that fluff. Give me CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, dude. That was another thing that doesn't seem like it really matters. 10 team start 7 PPR non-tight end premium 1 quarterback. CeeDee Lamb is the 5th or 6th player off the startup.
How many firsts would you need for CeeDee Lamb in this format, and why is it over under 6.5?
I mean, it's probably 4, but like still,
dude. If all it costs is 4 firsts for CeeDee Lamb in a start 7-10 team,
well, it's a 10-man league, so they're all top 10 picks.
Okay.
Again, that is a horrible trade for the other guy. Chasing breakers.
Start 7 is what I'm pointing. Like start 7 is nothing.
So you get Genty. You get Genty with this team. You also get, presumably, like you said, maybe a Warren, maybe a Loveland, maybe a Harvey, maybe a Caleb at the 201. I personally would be cool in a 10-man league taking Harvey or Caleb with that 201. Yeah. I probably still would go with the tight end in a vacuum, but you have Njoku, you have Otton. Like, it's close, man.
Why do you hate Njoku?
It's not that I hate Njoku. It's that in my Dynasty rookie rankings, I have both tight ends over RJ Harvey and Caleb Johnson a tier ahead of them, and we don't pass on, better players for need.
Sure. It's just funny because you basically like said it like, oh, you need a tight end, but I'm like, yeah, like Njoku's a stud. Like
he doesn't need a tight end. He doesn't have McBride or Bowers.
Yeah, no, I think that's reasonable. It just sounded funny, but what's the longest TD?
This one, Mason. This one will be about the longest one we've ever done. By the time we get through all these teams, if we're gonna yap about Kenneth Walker versus Chase Brown.
Oh, did you see that, Mason? Did you see that conversation?
I know where Mason stands on it because he's the one who actually I've heard him bring up the Kenneth Walker being the 2nd round pick. He's probably more likely to get a contract in free agency than Chase Brown would be because most of the league values former high draft picks who've been productive, who are 25 years old.
Yeah, sure. At the end of the day, one's actually consequential to my dynasty lineup or to my redraft lineup. I don't know why I said dynasty specifically.
I still think you're underrating Kenneth Walker, to be honest. Anyways,
I think he's a good mid RB2. He ain't sniffing Chase Brown.
He's not a mid RB2 when he's on the field, dude.
All right.
He's an RB1 when he's on the field.
Yeah, sure.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Anything other than, you take Genty and you take the tight ends or the running backs. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed. Dude, it's a start 10-man league. Go trade up with the 201, man. Trade up.
Go have fun. Like 201, 301, 305 fucking gets you up into the first round.
Yeah. Like,
that's the thing. Like, why closer in Dynasty? Like, why?
I just told you why.
No, but like, I still don't understand it because I don't think it makes any sense. Like,
because one was a day 3 pick and one was a 2nd rounder. That's why.
And one has been objectively better in his workload than the other.
He has not been objectively better. He was objectively better for half a year.
Okay. All right. Fair. I mean, even if you took the holistic leader when he was playing behind Zach Moss, like he was better than Kenneth Walker.
He wasn't, dude. Kenneth Walker was a dude for the first, like,
see, that's the thing. It's like, I think people are underrating how good Chase was, and I think people are overrating Kenneth Walker. Like,
I'm not saying he's a world beater. I'm saying he's better. He's probably a better running back talent-wise than Chase Brown.
So you must be all in on Sam Darnold then, right? Because you love Joe Burrow. Okay.
I don't know. Kenneth Walker's very solid, and Sam Darnold can move the offense. Anyways, let's get off of this topic because it is realistically pointless.
Him and Joe Burrow from the same lab. But,
yes, absolutely. 201, 301, 305. Does that get you up to 108? To get Quinshon Judkins? That's what I'd be thinking.
Yeah, go throw as many picks as you want together. You have to give up the 2 and the 4 because you moved up the 106 instead of the 108. Like, I'm cool doing that, to be honest.
Yeah, like I'm trying to look around the league too. I mean, you could trade if this guy wants to maybe retool, see if he'll take 201 plus some of those picks for Josh Jacobs. Like, go after a running back that can be consequential to your lineup. Same goes for this guy. Maybe he's looking to move off of Jonathan Taylor. I would sell the 201 straight up for James Cook too if he wanted to give you James Cook for 201. Bitch and moan league. I mean, this guy's Jahmyr Gibbs. You probably can't get in that vicinity. Henry, I mean, I'd give up the 201 for Derrick Henry any day of the week, given the team that you have right now. So
yeah, like this team's ready to win, realistically.
I mean, it's a start 7 too. So one other thing that I would say about this team, maybe I'm a buffoon. But I kind of think Rome Odunze doesn't really fit a team like this.
It doesn't.
I don't think that Rome Odunze is like going to have that great of a year. Maybe I'm a buffoon for saying that. I think that he's probably going to hold his value.
I'm a bigger Odunze guy than you are. I'm a bigger.
What's a good year for Rome Odunze this year?
I think it's like 1,000 to 1,100 and 8 to 10 touchdowns.
That seems like a high bar for him.
I'm also higher on the Bears offense, and I'm lower on DJ Moore than you are.
That I guess, but like from a 1 year, I'm not from a dynasty perspective. From a 1 year projection, I think that him getting
Tom, he had over 700 this past year. Like, what do you mean?
From a 1 year projection standpoint, I don't really see Odunze outproducing DJ Moore personally. I don't think he'll do it.
See, like, and I think the market would agree with you based off where they are in redraft, but I don't know, man. I'm reading the tea leaves more with DJ Moore. I'm understanding the body language that I saw last year. I'm understanding what I'm already hearing right now from the pressers.
Like the guy's a top 24 dynasty receiver right now. This isn't like a guy that's
no,
anything really.
Yeah, no, I get that. He's polarizing, and he's a player that we're going to be talking about on spoiler alert this week's video. But I don't disagree in theory. If you can transition him,
by the way,
huh?
He will not be a player that we talk about on that video.
I don't think so.
No, it's the criteria. If you saw the sheet, was that they had to be valued less than a first round.
Oh, I didn't see you said that.
It's guys that are like on the concept of the video that we're doing this week is young players on the brink of like kind of sink or swim in their dynasty value, but it's more like Trey Benson, Xavier Legette types than it is.
I guess we didn't specify that because like I was gonna like bring up like I thought it was contentious players that like we don't.
Oh no. That's why behind the scenes I was like I think I might just do this solo. But you wanted to do it with me. My point on these players is like they're either going to be nothing this time next year or they're going to break out.
Yeah. I don't know. I think if we generalize that for contentious, like it would work too.
Well, we could do a different video on more valuable players. I'm just saying this video idea specifically that I had was on players that are either going to gain a lot of value or become really useless in Dynasty.
Yeah, I guess. Sure. Okay.
Anyways, but
regardless, though, if you can transition Odunze into like a Devontae Smith type, a fucking
Flowers,
you get Pickens plus.
Metcalf.
You get Pickens plus.
Yeah, I mean Danny's new favorite player, George Pickens. You could get.
I have him like at market.
I've never heard you mention a trade for George Pickens until he was a Cowboy. All I'm saying,
because it's a very insulated situation and fits exactly what he did well. Like what,
dude? There's no shot you've ever mentioned George Pickens as a great player before this.
I didn't say he was a great player. I said it was a great fit for what he did.
I know, but now he's like you're off the dome, ready to go, elite receiver trade for.
I don't even mean it like that. I just think his skill set fits being a number 2 like T. Higgins more than it does being a number 1 for the Steelers and fucking 13 passing touchdowns in a calendar year.
Yeah, no, of course. I'm just busting your balls, but
no, I know
it's funny that he's the first name you think of is the only thing that I'm saying.
Well, I'm just thinking about his touchdown equity on that Steelers offense and just understanding the fact that given his skill set, like he could catch 12 touchdowns this year for the Cowboys if Dak throws 35.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm not. I literally don't disagree. I just think it's funny that he's the first name you think of now. But anyways, Odunze transitioned him maybe into a better receiver.
That was my bad, by the way.
Yeah, he did say he was elite. That was funny. But anyways, this team's going to be – Danny's going to disagree with this one too. I would not be opposed to transitioning Caleb Williams into a competitive quarterback either.
No.
How much more on top of Caleb Williams does it cost to get in a start 7 league, get you Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, somebody like that, given that Caleb Williams is as valuable as he is. And Danny has got the asinine take that Burrow should be behind Caleb Williams, which given this team context, I definitely think you wouldn't necessarily say that just in a vacuum. In startups, you would.
Yeah, in startups, I would. Like if you really wanted to compete, I wouldn't mind doing it straight up. But one quarterback league, I'm just not really stressed to make a move right now. I think Gino and Caleb can get you through at least for the time being. And if you want to go, if you're going to make a quarterback move, I would say get aggressive on it. Go after one of the top 3 or so dynasty quarterbacks. Because usually, like the whole point of making a move, quite frankly, at the quarterback position in one quarterback league, is to literally go from a guy that maybe has a 21, 22 point per game ceiling to a guy that can score 26, 27 points, a la Lamar or a Josh Allen, or potentially if you can get it
Joe Burrow.
I see, like in a 4-point passing touchdown league, I don't think he's got 25 passing touch or 25 passing touchdown, 25 point per game upside. Like I still think he can be like a 23, 24 guy, but and inherently in a 4-point passing touchdown league, the top 3 plus Jalen Hurts just have higher ceilings.
Yeah. If they run, any quarterback who runs is going to have a higher ceiling than Joe Burrow, pretty much. Anyways, let's keep going. Tom sends in a brag team.
Oh my God.
2 absolute hammers in this league. Him and Depth Note. Let's look at Depth Note's team really quick. He's got an absolute hammer of a team, and it's deep as hell too. And then Tom said, this is my first and main Dynasty League. And so I've done a couple of consults with Tom at this point, and obviously Tom's in the chat right here.
Yeah, shout out,
Tom, every time we do a consult, it's like, how do I make my elite running back core and elite wide receiver core too?
Untouchable.
Yeah, I have all my 2028 picks. Don't plan on moving my 2028 draft picks to ensure I can keep loading this roster with youth. Please let me know how else I can improve this roster and team. So, Tom, absurd that you have this roster. Burrow, Mahomes, Mayfield. I've literally done consults on this exact team with you before. Bijan, Gentry, and Hall, you're set, dude. Justin Jefferson, Lamb, Drake London, AJ Brown, McLaurin, you're set. I mean, I got a little greedy with Gentry. It looks like he sold his capital 27 and 26 to do it. Honestly, man, I'm fine with it. You're going to be able to start Kelsey for another year, probably. Kraft is a usable tight end as well. The only weakness on your roster, and this is what we always end up doing on calls, it's like, okay, how do I get a tight end on this already god squad of a team? Dude, you get 8 points per game out of your tight end. You're still going to win every single week. It really doesn't matter. But if you were to go out and get some tight end production, tight end help, I would maybe see how much more on top of Kraft you have to pay to get George Kittle. That would be the only thing I would say. Is because George Kittle for me is like a top 3 redraft pick. And he's going to be, literally moves to make, monster. Any buy low windows you should be aggressively targeting. Like, you have a monster here. This is an absolute monster. You're going to be trading after elite players and overpay 110% value, shopping in Louis Vuitton, all those points that we brought up on Monday's video. And he said, not many people are trading with me soon. Yeah. And
I don't blame them, because
welcome to having a monster. Welcome to having the monster.
You probably took a few kids behind the woodshed. Wait, pause.
Yeah, that's crazy, Danny. But anyways, from the context of a dynasty league, Danny is referring to, yes.
Yeah. Let me, anyways, that didn't happen.
Anyways, this team is insanely good. What else do you do? Like, there is nothing else that you do here. Mahomes to a rushing quarterback. Maybe that would be then a move that you could make. Does Mahomes to Jaden Daniels or Jalen Hurts get in the wheelhouse in terms of possibility for you? That would be something I would maybe consider, because Mahomes is definitely not going to be difference making producer relative to like a rushing quarterback. But I'm grasping at straws here. This team's a monster.
Throw Mahomes plus Darnold and see if you can upgrade, and all the 3-2s if you have to. Throw in frickin' Jaden Reed if you have to. Throw in frickin' Jake Ferguson if you have to. Dallas Goedert if you have to. Fucking like anybody with any breathing life of value. If you can consolidate. Depth is not an issue with this team. Let me just specify that. You have, what is that? 7 green label players? 7? It's a start 10. And realistically, the green label players not in your starting lineup are fucking AJ Brown, Breece Hall, and Tucker Kraft.
And Baker at quarterback too.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's not even a guarantee.
Yeah. I mean, Mahomes, I would sit, there's going to be probably half the games this year you're playing Baker over Mahomes. So this is an insane.
This roster was a crazy.
Yeah, that's what I said in the other video. I said, when we said trim the fat, I was like, you got to Ozempic this roster. Yeah. But this team's insanely good, man. Like, realistically, try and upgrade tight end. I don't know. There's nothing else I can really say. I wouldn't sacrifice any of your top end wide receivers or running backs to do it. But if Terry McLaurin plus another piece or something can get you a tight end upgrade, like somebody wants to, I'm going to take a look at some of these teams with good tight ends. This guy has a shit team and he has George Kittle. So, I mean, if he wants Terry McLaurin plus Tucker Kraft for George Kittle, and maybe he'll throw you a pick back or maybe Sutton back or something like that, I would be totally cool making a move like that.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Maybe, I mean, if we look up to, go back up to his team, Kittle plus Terry McLaurin for Jerry Jeudy plus. Oh, sorry, I said that wrong. Kittle plus Jerry Jeudy for Terry McLaurin plus who were we saying? Tucker Kraft.
Yeah. I mean, McLaurin and Jeudy are pretty close in my rankings. They're literally like back to back. So
I think the market prefers McLaurin though. That's why.
I think it's possible that they prefer McLaurin. But regardless, you're in great shape. We don't need to.
You have to add a couple on this one. Something. Yeah,
you're in great shape, Tom.
Hey, overpay 110% and don't feel guilty doing so.
Exactly. Yeah. Rye guy 330 is kind of stuck in limbo here, 7th best team. And he says, don't really know where to start here. Help me out. So this is a little bit more of a fun project here.
Some work to be done here.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Why do we trade all of our picks?
Yeah. This is, oof.
Well, I don't know what to do. The answer was not shoveling more picks into the middle.
Yeah. Well, this is what we talked about in the contending video. You can't shove your picks in when you don't have an absolute, like, to give you guys an idea how frugal I am with my picks. Danny and I are trying to make a move and no flocking. My team is objectively the best in the league. And even then, I'm still not willing to throw in my first round pick because it's just shit can go wrong, man. Like when you have to, this is a fraud. This is an absolute fraud. Like, you know it. There's a reason you're saying, I don't know where to go from here. Like, this is deeply upsetting, is what Chasing Breaker says here. But like, yeah, dude, you gotta strip this thing to the bones. And what do we say? First thing that you do is go get your first rounders back. Like, you got to go get your own picks because people in your league are going to kind of know what you're doing. But unfortunately for you, there's a good chance that like, that's how you got Chuba Hubbard or whatever. Like, you can't just be like, hey, you want to do Chuba Hubbard for my first? Because now this guy knows your first is going to be high and you probably traded for some of these players using said first.
Having these graphics now for when we do live team reviews is actually so clutch.
Yeah, I mean, we should maybe get them a little bit more perfectly made, but
yeah, but you know what I mean, though.
They're kind of uggo at the moment.
I'm unfortunate to report, Rye Guy, that this is the prototype definition of a fraud. Quite simple.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks are good. Quarterbacks, I would say Drake Mayfield, Penix, you're fine there. Loveland, you're fine at tight end. But from a production standpoint, Evan Ingram, Loveland, you know what? Okay, I'll give you the pass there. After that, though, at the flex positions, like Jefferson is obviously a stud. Ayuk, is he going to play week 1? Is he going to play week 2? What's going on with the knee injury? Jerry Jeudy, I like as a wide receiver 3-4 on a contending team, not as a wide receiver 2. Same thing with Calvin Ridley. Same thing with Joe. Like, it just feels like a lot of guys are over
this roster. This ain't even Ozempic. You need lipo for this roster.
Yeah, like why did we trade all of our future picks? That's the only issue. And like we say on the fraud, I'm sorry to classify this. I know sometimes you have to hear the hard-hitting truth because otherwise there's no way to rebuild this team the right way. Like we say here, number one goal is to tear it down, but the number one priority before the other moves is to get your own first back. Unfortunately for you, that's going to consist of 2 cycles of getting your own first pick back. The issue, though, is if we look at the teams that maybe have your pick,
it appears it's going to be the good teams in the league. This guy has a lot of...
Does he have both your picks?
No, he doesn't have them.
My guy, maybe it's going to be
this guy. This guy is one of them. So fortunately for you that this guy is a competitive team. So maybe Chuba Hubbard for your first or something is a deal you can float out to him. Or maybe, Chuba Hubbard plus Calvin Ridley is a deal that you could float out to him and try and help his competitive window to get your own first back. I could tell you for free that if I was in this guy's position, I'd be like, yeah, you want your own first back, you better overpay because I already have a competitive team. I don't really need a lot of these assets that you're offering me.
Well, the example of that would be in my Mickey Mouse League, because if you remember correctly, in October 9th, 2023, I traded to Akash, Wiser Fantasy. I traded him Josh Allen plus Josh Downs. I got back Dak Prescott, his 2025 first rounder, his 2026 first rounder, and then another 2025 first round pick. Keep in mind, I got Akash's 2025 and 2026 one. That 2025 one ended up materializing into the 106 for context, where I got Cam Ward. In March 18th, 2025, so this offseason, I went back to Akash, got Josh Allen and Chris Godwin. Again, keep in mind, I gave up initially Josh Allen and Josh Downs. Godwin versus Downs, whatever, similar value. The difference is instead of getting back Dak and 3 1s, I only had to give him Garrett Wilson, Brock Purdy, and his own 2026 one back.
Yeah,
and that was basically a year of difference. So, if I'm going to give you your own pick back after I acquire it via trade a year before, I'm expecting interest.
Yeah, and again, fortunately, this guy that I just went over, who has your 26 one, competitive window, sell him competitive assets. You want Hubbard, you want Mixon, you might have to sell a little bit cheaper than you think too. You might have to give that guy Hubbard and Mixon for your 26-1. And you might think, oh, I would want something else on top of that. But that pick is going to be early. Again, you got to remember, once you tear this thing down, your pick is going to be early. Would you sell Chuba Hubbard and Joe Mixon for the 101? You probably would. It's not the 101 yet, but it probably will become the 101. So that's what you have to be thinking. And same goes for this pick too. This guy's your 27-1. Thankfully, he has Derrick Henry. Maybe he could use another competitive running back. Maybe he's being diligent and he's not going to do it. But I could tell you could sucker this guy into giving you 27-1 for sure. Chuba Hubbard, Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, some of the guys that you have that are competitive assets. Yeah, like these are the trades that Danny's talking about. The exact same picks being dealt here.
Yeah, look at the time gap. Like, even if we said Dak versus Purdy, pretty much a wash based on my rankings. Then it's Garrett Wilson, Jalen Wright, and a 2026 1 for 2-1, or 3 ones basically. So it would be Wilson and Wright equals these 2 ones. And then this 2026 first round pick basically ended up equating, obviously, the pick that I gave back. So that's just an example of how if you just wait and you have somebody's pick, they're going to get eager and they're going to be looking to have control of their own team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Like, this is a team where you're not married to any production. Really, this is an Ozempic roster for sure. Trim the fat. Baker Mayfield, very productive quarterback, going to be already 30 years old. You got to get him off of your roster. As much as I love Baker Mayfield, he's the type of guy that needs to be off this team. Drake May, Michael Penix, young quarterbacks. You're probably fine holding those guys if you want to. Hubbard, Mixon, Dowdle, any competitive running backs, they could be off your roster. Brandon Ayuk, given his injury, you probably maybe want him off your roster, assuming he's progressing well. Judy, good redraft projection, get him gone. Calvin Ridley, good redraft projection, get him gone. Juwan Jennings, good redraft projection, get him gone. The rest of the guys, Kyle Williams, Besh, those guys are young. They're probably fine to stay on your roster. Evan Ingram, good redraft projection, get him gone. Like, you gotta get him, get a lot of those players there. So I would say, yeah, long-term rebuild, go get your first round picks back. That is what you are looking at. Go back and watch that rebuild, the tank job video that we did. Yes, AJ, we did get yours. You will be after the next 2, I believe was. And then you said Leafs are cheeks and should blow it up. They absolutely will not blow it up because you have Austin Matthews in his prime. Continue with our next team that we have here is Will 88. And also I would say hold Jefferson as well. But if Jefferson is popping off and having a legendary season, you might have to cash out for a lot of picks as well. We didn't really mention how to handle Jefferson there, but definitely definitely the type of guy that you could sell for a Godfather offer. Somebody offers you Tedero, McMillan, and 2 first-round picks in a second or something. You could definitely offload Jefferson for something like that. Will 88 came second last year, have an offer of a 26 first and a 27. A 26 first and my 27 first for JSN. So 2 1s for JSN seems a smidge steep for me.
Wait.
Yes, I did read that part.
Which one?
Not sure about trading the 26 first as his team is very fragile and could be a mid pick. I feel like I'm a flex wide receiver and a bench running back away from having a well-rounded team. Traded Hall at the deadline for Chris Olave, Deshaun Watson, and Charbonnet. Not great.
Wait, sorry. I don't agree with the evaluation of JSN for the 2 1s, but it's just funny because you said team is very fragile, could be a mid pick when you're 13,000 ahead in value of anybody else in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where you're getting this evaluation that your team is very fragile and could be a mid pick. I'm assuming it's just because you don't have running back depth behind Bijan and Breece Hall. But
look at the pick bank.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he doesn't really have a whole lot of depth in general, like between Ayuk as his wide receiver 4.
He's also got fucking Allen May and Caleb Williams.
Yeah, like this is what I would do. This is what I would do in this situation. I think Caleb Williams is too volatile an asset to have on a roster like this. You already have Drake May and Josh Allen. There's no sense holding Caleb Williams here. He's valued as the quarterback 8 in my rankings, valued as the quarterback like probably 1 by now in Danny's rankings. And you can sell him for a lot. Like you could go get a big time, wide receiver running back for Caleb Williams. You could go sell him for a package of 2 really good wide receiver running back type of assets if you needed to.
Yeah, I'm just not trading for JSN. Like
I like JSN. I think he's a fine, pick or fine asset to go after. I just 2 1s is just a little too steep for me. I would rather. He's also like he's going to see your lineup and he's going to be a starting piece for you, but like you still kind of have a little bit of a depth concern even if you do that.
I'd rather add those 2 1s to Brandon Ayuk and go for a big stepper.
Yeah, like I just
you like that one?
Finding a QB needy team that you could maybe sell Caleb Williams to. Like this guy's McCarthy. Like would he give you McCarthy and Zay Flowers and Chuba Hubbard for Caleb Williams, like where you're able to, package together McCarthy, you get a
I'm not doing that
QB3
deal.
back. I would. I'm way
Yeah.
higher on Zay Flowers and lower on Caleb than you, but
yuck.
I don't know. I think dismantling your QB3 Caleb Williams into really good assets would be what I would aim
I don't
to do.
disagree.
Or maybe sell him straight for a running back or a wide receiver.
I don't disagree. Yeah, I just didn't like that package. But
yeah, maybe this guy's worried about Brian Thomas getting Travis Hunter added, and you could sell Caleb Williams for BTJ potentially.
Need a plus for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be willing to do it straight up. Maybe you could sell Baker.
Another farmer. Let's go.
I want a young quarterback, ideally.
Is this the Farmer League, by the way? Because we got Farmer Will, and there was a guy named Farmer something else.
It could be a Farmer League. It's possible. Bryce Young plus Tedero McMillan plus maybe a pick or, some other pieces. Maybe that gets you Caleb Williams in that situation. Like, I'd be willing to do a number of those different types of deals because you just have so much banked up quarterback asset that you don't like. One of your best players on your roster is going to be on your bench every single week. And to me, I would rather pivot one of those guys into a very, very good wide receiver or running back if I can, or a capable quarterback 3 like a McCarthy, Penix, Bryce Young type, plus a very capable wide receiver or running back.
Go check me the Genty or Gibbs teams because that's the only solution for me. I'm not parting for depth. Yeah, this guy's got Gibbs.
I mean, he's probably not in the market.
He's got good quarterbacks. Okay, Genty.
Yeah, okay. I mean, maybe you could do like a 2-for-2 where you go Genty and McCarthy for Caleb Williams and
straight up
Ayuk.
Yeah.
Me and Danny differ on our valuation of Caleb Williams. So this is kind of hard for us to give you exact advice that both of us are going to agree with. It's just for me, I would be looking to, and it might be May that you move off of too, for what it's worth. It doesn't have to be Caleb Williams. It could be whoever you get the most value for on the open market. But finding quarterback needy teams and seeing if you can down tier or bank up some pieces or whatever the case is. Small town Saskatchewan, mostly farmers. It's kind of an elite situation there.
They love the Rough Riders down there. Fuck.
Oh yeah. No, would you sell Caleb Williams for Justin Herbert and Travis Hunter?
Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe you could do something like that. There, I finally found an evaluation Danny would agree with there.
But by the way, so my buddy who played in the CFL told me stories of how like Saskatchewan, it's like the stadium's in like the middle of literally nowhere because it's such a smallly populated province comparatively.
Yeah, like I'm surprised, Will, that there's even anybody in Saskatchewan that like you can form a 12-man league with people in Saskatchewan. Like I think I'd be 8 and 10-man league central there.
Bro, this whole time I thought his name was Will Sask because his last name was Sask. It's because it's Saskatchewan.
Well, I mean, they probably just name people Saskatchewan there though. It's like they got to represent Saskatchewan somehow. Yeah. They got to get word of mouth going about this province.
But then I know his last name is actually something else because I recognize it from the site or from Discord. I might just be dumb. I might just be an airhead.
Yeah, he also, by the way, has a tractor as his profile pic on Flock. If you see that, it's really small, but it is there.
Yeah,
but yeah, dude, this team is really good. Go consolidate if you have to. I get why you're a little concerned because you have like a lack of depth, but there's a lot of, he's the only Will in Saskatchewan. There's a lot of moves that you can make to help fill out that depth. Dismantling your QB3 might be part of it. Maybe it's just, trading away a first round pick or something like that. The only thing I would say is that I don't really feel comfortable giving up 2 picks that aren't my own. The 26 one at least is not your own for Jackson Smith and Jigba. Because if they were both yours, then you could be like, oh, they're both mid to late, blah, blah, blah. But like,
I also just don't think JSN's a big need in this team.
Yeah, like this big dog team too. He's got Brock Purdy and Matthew Stafford as his quarterbacks. Like this guy's team could crumble pretty quickly. Yeah. Like I would not want to give up that guy's first round pick.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like
kind of a throw in.
If you're gonna make that move for JSN, like I said, just like pay a little bit more and go get a big step. Go get like a big dog. Go get like a Nico Collins. Go get like a fucking Amon St. Brown. Go get a Brian Thomas. Like go after somebody that's legit worth that consequential price. Instead of a guy that was like a wide receiver 21 in points per game last year. Like
like I said, I would rather get, if you're gonna go get a guy like that, and not that I hate JSN, I think he's a fine.
No, option. I like him. Like he's
if you can get a guy like JSN plus a third quarterback for Caleb Williams, that would be a little bit more sensical in my mind, because then you're downgrading your QB, pocketing a JSN, and still getting a third quarterback back. I just wouldn't want to sell my picks straight for something like that. But anyways, really good team nonetheless. You still have plenty of flexibility to do whatever really that you want. Dead Show is next, and then I believe we had three more come in. So we have I can't speak. You know what I mean? Pi 919, AJ, and Jack, who was in the chat, and then I have an appointment at 3:45. So hopefully we can get through these in the next 20-ish minutes or so. Dead Show, rookie draft on July 4th. Shout out. I've told the owner of the 101, MS Bets, I'm interested in trading for the pick, and he seems open. Taylor Swift in his league, shout out, has also asked about the availability of 106. I also plan on selling one quarterback for picks in the draft, maybe two if I get good offers. Many teams don't have a good quarterback 3 or quarterback 2. So we have a quarterback hoarder on our hands.
Oh, wow. He's saying, oh, no, you're that guy. He's that guy indeed. Ouch. Okay, so let's talk about it. Obviously, you just said, fuck you guys. I'm monopolizing this market. If you guys want a quarterback, you're getting through me. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Dead Show is the one monopolizing these quarterbacks. And, let's see the number 2 core in comparison.
Josh Allen, Dak Prescott. Right. Let's find the teams that don't have quarterbacks and see if we can. Okay, so first of all, the quarterbacks that we're selling on this roster are presumably JJ McCarthy and Tua Tagovailoa, I would imagine. Right?
Yeah, or Baker, depending on.
Baker just had a productive season, so that would make sense. Plus, JJ's a good third quarterback to have. So one of these 3 quarterbacks, depending on the competitive team, Baker Mayfield, Tua, non-competitive team, JJ McCarthy.
2 of those quarterbacks you're selling, by the way. Let's clarify.
Yeah, this guy's probably not going to be super enticed by a quarterback. He's got functional guys. Same with this guy. This guy is Bryce Young and Penix. He might be interested in like a Tua, but he also has Geno. He's probably fine. See, this is the tough thing about, really hoarding quarterbacks is that even when you do it,
10-team league.
It's a 10-team league, and people convince themselves that I can get by with Kyler Murray, Trevor Lawrence, and Sam Darnold. It's not like you have any desperate teams that don't have a second quarterback. Again, is Mahomes, Goff great? No, but could you get by in a 10-team league with it? Yeah.
Your whole hope, again, I hate saying this, but your whole hope is literally hoping for quarterback injuries in the league to make it more of an urgent concern.
This guy doesn't have a second quarterback, so this guy would be one guy that I'd be willing to trade with.
Yeah.
I would be okay selling this dude. Let's say he's interested in Baker or Tua because he looks like more of a competitive team, I would say. Would he give you Chase Brown? Yeah, for Baker Mayfield or Tua. Baker's probably a lot more valuable. I would say I don't think he's going to give you Chase Brown for Tua. Maybe you'd have to give him Tua plus something for Chase Brown.
Yeah, if it's cheapish, I'd be willing to do it for sure.
Yeah, maybe he'd give you, I think AJ versus Baker plus something small would probably also make some sense if he's willing to do something like that. But given that he's a competitive team, he might be not willing to move off of Baker Mayfield. You have options to be able to move these quarterbacks. If you're wondering, again, which quarterbacks would I move? I'd say any competitive team needs a quarterback, offer them Baker Mayfield because he's going to give them good production. Any competitive team that's going to look cheaper, offer them Tua Tagovailoa. Rebuilding team needs a quarterback. I'd say JJ McCarthy. Ideally, my quarterback core when I'm done with it is Joe Burrow, Drake May, and probably only one of the other 3 guys. And JJ probably the best one just because he's a third quarterback option.
Who has the 101 in this league?
He did mention that MS Bets has the 101, and he was trying to get a deal done with said guy, and he has Goff and Mahomes. Maybe you could use your quarterback equity to try and get to him.
I'd literally be willing to give 106 plus Baker plus whatever it would take to get 101 on this team.
I'm pretty high on Baker, so I'd probably
like Baker
106 plus 101 or plus Baker Mayfield to get to 101. But
how much?
Ideally, it costs you less than that, honestly.
All right, well, let's punch it out. Okay, so I gotta reload my app because okay. So Genty for Baker.
I'm trying to think. He said he was trying to get I've told the owner of the 101 is interested in trading for the pick. It seems open. So the 101 manager, what else would he's looking for running back help would be the only tough thing with him.
106 plus Mayfield would get both sides here, no?
It would, yeah, it would. It's just I would probably want something small back, I guess. Could he?
I don't think you're getting anything back.
Maybe not, but I given how if you sort it by my rankings, it's probably not the same.
Fair trade.
Fair trade. Okay, part of it is that I didn't
slightly win for me.
I view Baker Mayfield as a consequential quarterback asset. He's just right on the brink of it for me.
He is, but when you have that quarterback core he has, and you can liquidate 106 in Mayfield, consolidate into Ashton Genty on a team that has Kyron Williams as their RB1, I'm doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it is a 10-team league too. So, I mean, that definitely factors in
Half
because
PPR.
Baker's going to lose a little bit of value. Plus, also, quarterbacks lose value in general across the board. And Genty probably gains value in that type of format too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's probably a fine move. Maybe he'll throw you a 2 back or something, is I guess all I'm saying is maybe he'll give you something small back in return for it.
Even
but regardless, I think
Aaron
that's
Jones.
maybe a good option to, I mean, Aaron Jones back would be fine. Give you some running back depth there. But yeah, that would make some sense. Any other quarterback needy teams like this guy, for example, with the Jaden Daniels asset, maybe you could go after, like we said, Chase Brown or AJ Brown off of him. This guy has Purdy and Herbert. He's probably fine. Penix and Bryce, maybe you could go after Bucky from this guy.
Multiple Knicks in this league, I noticed.
Yeah, a lot of Knicks in this league. Won't you beat my neighbor or be my neighbor? Sorry, beat my neighbor. That sounds like a
I thought you were
news story, a news story waiting to happen. But yeah, this team's in good shape regardless. I mean, you have a good 3 stack of top end young wide receivers, a little bit older at the rest of the wide receiver core. So ideally, if you're selling the quarterback position, I would want to get wide receiver equity back. 106 in terms of where I would want to spend it. I mean, obviously, if Hunter or McMillan fall to you, that would be best case scenario. But Henderson would also be what I'd be interested in. But given that it's a 10-team league, you can't really expect Cam Ward to go ahead of your pick at 106. So it's possible that the best player available for you on the board is Cam Ward, in which case I would try and trade that pick away, trade down, trade it for a veteran, something like that. But yeah, anything else on this team or should we move on?
By the way, Pickens will be wearing number 13, and I think this team is perfectly set. We can move on.
Yeah, I'm so glad I asked about Pickens' number. It was keeping me up at night.
In fact, so I just saw it was posted an hour ago. I didn't see.
I'm joking. All right. We did have a couple more questions and trades come through. AJ, it looks like, submitted a team review and then also had a couple of trade questions. Are these related at all? Maybe they're not. Let's go over the team first and then we'll.
What did he say, by the way? He said he did a joke with you.
AJ did? Oh, he said, he said, I'm trying to trigger Bush by saying that the Leafs should blow it up.
Where did, I thought
all the way, just don't worry about it. It was all the way up in the chat. He was like, Leafs should blow it up. And then he put in brackets trying to trigger Bush or something like that.
You didn't read the last part of the message. Okay.
It was, I ignored the part trying to trigger Bush is what he's referring to.
Oh, I see now. Okay.
Anyways, Ginger Ale looks like an FSE league because I see Slat Squatch in it. Just traded Trevor Lawrence, BTJ for 326 firsts and 227 firsts. So you traded the BTJ Trevor Lawrence stack for essentially, I would say, market value. God. BTJ worth about 3 1s and Trevor Lawrence worth about 2
I love those guys, but fuck, man, that's a lot of liquidity to turn down. So I don't blame you.
Yeah, especially given the state of your team. I mean, you're in a position where you.
Holy shit!
Look at the pick bank.
Oh my God, AJ.
Yeah. I mean, AJ, you know what the direction is. I'm also, AJ, with the amount of teams you submit, I'm surprised that you even have leagues left that we haven't broken down.
Question, why are Brandon Ayuk and DJ Moore still on your roster?
I mean, I'm sure he's trying to sell those players.
I know.
AJ knows better than to hold those players through a rebuild. But yeah, Brandon Ayuk, you're probably going to have to wait for him to be back on the field, whether it's training camp, regular season, something like that. But, you know, a mid to late projected 1, and he would be off my team. DJ Moore, you know, big spike week early on in the year. Definitely probably a guy that you should still be able to get, like, let's say a future projected late 2027 first for. But yeah, this one's a Ozempic roster for sure. You're stripping this one down to nothing. Trim the fat. Everybody old is off this thing. Cade Otton pops up with a decent performance. He's off my roster. Deontay Johnson decides to screw his head on straight and have like 7 targets one game. He's probably off my roster. Ramondre maybe works into a full workload because Trevion gets banged up or something. He'd be off my roster. Like this is Caleb Williams and Emeka Egbuka are the last men standing on this thing because they're the only 2 guys that really fit your, and Mason Taylor, I guess too, and Benson. Even Benson, man, like somebody he works into a James Conner's role by midseason, and somebody can cash him out for a first rounder. Like there's going to be lots of opportunities to cash out players on these teams, and yeah, you're going to own the next 2 draft classes, which is obviously your goal.
Yep, for sure.
Doesn't have any 2s next year, which is a little bit shocking considering how many picks in general that he has. But yeah, this is going to be fun to play with. And he said no one wants to buy Ayuk or DJ Moore for more than seconds plus. Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to wait till they're producing healthy, whatever the case is. in both of those situations. But this is a great team. It looks really solid. And I have about 15 minutes to go. So let's try and rip through the rest of these questions. But yeah, this is a tank job. Go watch the tank job video that we did on Sunday. Trade that he has on the table, I would assume it's a different league because I don't see any of these players from his team. He would be receiving Jonathan Taylor, Isaiah Pacheco. He'd be giving away early to mid second and Caleb Johnson. So you're getting the upgrade there from Caleb Johnson to Jonathan Taylor, especially in a productive kind of window. I would imagine you are in one of those. And then let me just take a look at the team really quick. This is a league that you and I are both in. This is no flocking. So
go figure.
This team, he has a young team kind of coming out of a rebuild. This would be kind of like a move to push the chips in a little bit to some degree. And it looks like he'd be trading with Claire.
I saw
in this league, who pretty much is tearing it right down to the studs. So this makes sense for her side for sure. And for you, I mean, Jonathan Taylor would definitely upgrade your starting lineup. And Isaiah Pacheco give you a little bit of depth at running back. I mean, you don't really need it. I think this is a fairly decent offer. I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think it's a fair offer. Again, I have a conflict of interest because obviously I am trying to retool here. But all jokes aside, though, I think realistically, if you're trying to get point equity out of this team, I think this is a reasonable move to make.
Yeah, maybe I should go give Claire a message about Jonathan Taylor because I have the best team in this league. I have the best team in this league, and I could use
especially will once you get George Kittle. But
yeah, definitely. But I would say in a vacuum, this is like almost as dead even as a trade you can find for both sides because she could use the early to mid second, and Caleb Johnson, you could use Isaiah Pacheco and Jonathan Taylor. I'd say slightly in a vacuum, I'd probably prefer the Jonathan. That's like I'm literally going to mark a winner for both sides. Like, honestly, I think this is as dead even as a trade gets. I can't even give you an answer on who would win this. It's good for both of you.
Yeah, like there's a realistic outcome in this season where Caleb Johnson's valued ahead of Jonathan Taylor, but you insulated that because you also got Pacheco. It does suck losing the two, but in your spot, like again, you're buying production, so I don't blame you.
Yep. Another trade on the table here is Joe Burrow and Mark Andrews for Malik Neighbors, Colson Loveland. Let's see. Is this the same league? It is, in fact, the same league. So in this league, he already has Pitts, who stinks. But Loveland is another tight end of his, and he'd be also, is that giving up Neighbors as well? Yeah, Neighbors and Loveland for Burrow and Andrews. I think I'd probably take Neighbors and Loveland there. You guys know me. I love Joe Burrow. He's just an absolute beast. But Neighbors and him are pretty much a wash in terms of value, and Loveland is pretty well ahead from Mark Andrews for me. So I'd probably take this side.
Yeah, I mean, I have Neighbors literally straight up ranked higher.
Yeah, which I figured would be your response, which is why I went first because I'm a little bit closer on the Burrow side of things.
Yeah.
We can move on to the next team, which is from Jack, who was in the chat earlier. Hopefully he is still in the chat. He said @Jack on the YouTube stream right now. BTJ's Brewhouse is the name of his team, which is not in the greatest spot, which is number 8 in here. Ladybird Ferguson is wild. That's
quite the name. Yeah. Very clear what this team's direction is. I'm unfortunate to report that even when you do add the 102 here, assuming it's a Travis Hunter, in the context of competing this year, I think, Corey, you can agree with me when we say that. Wrong one. Fraud. Take a look, long, hard look in the mirror. Are you top 4 in production value in this league? Let's take a look in this league. Is he top 4 in production value? Let's go to
no. You got Jacobs and BTJ that are and Bowers that are consequential redraft assets this year. The JMO, Devontae Adams, Brian Robinson are fine, but they're not consequential guys. He also said, to be honest, I'm planning to go Hampton because I'm assuming part of that is because he has Brian Thomas already and doesn't want Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not forfeiting value here. In fact, I think you should be proactive with his team, quite frankly.
I mean, I would trade down if that's how you feel and you want to go Hampton. But it's a half PPR league. Danny's like very much on the side of don't ever really pass on Travis Hunter. In half PPR formats, I'd say it's about a toss up.
Oh, okay. In half PPR, I would be closer where you are, but even still, like I don't think this team's a Hampton away from competing this year. Like to put up.
No, it's not. But I would take Hampton in this situation because he does kind of fit your team build. Maybe you could trade down, collect some future capital as well.
But like, why though? He also needs receivers, and he's not competing. Like Devontae Adams is a sustainable wide receiver 3. No, like realistically,
this is again.
Jameson Williams is a sustainable wide receiver 2.
This is another one of those teams that is like trim the fat off the roster. Adams, JMO, Brian Robinson, anybody of consequential value, I'm trying to sell for future capital. And that includes 102. Like if somebody, he has offers for the 102 he has here. 106 plus 2-3, not enough. 109, 110, probably not enough as well. I would need, Jack, if you're thinking of like what kind of offers do I need? Ideally, I'd like to stay in that top 4 tier because then you can walk away with like McMillan or Hunter and pocket a future first or something like that. Maybe
that's ideal, but
that's like, ideal. If you can get an offer like that, that's totally fine. But for me, I'd be fine taking Hampton there if you want to take Hampton. But he still fits a 1 to 2 year retool for me because he's not going to be overly monsterly productive this year, but he is going to be a monster come 26 and beyond.
He's not winning this year. Like, what point does he have to quote unquote filling the need of running back when he also desperately needs long-term receiver? Just take the better player.
And I disagree on whether or not the best player available on the board in every single circumstance is Travis Hunter. And in a half PPR league, I believe, given that you have Brian Thomas, it's okay to tie break to Amari and Hampton.
It's okay, but if you're not competing, just take the young receiver.
Yeah,
like that's really it. Like if you take the running back,
ideally you trade down to 1-4 or something and get McMillan plus.
Yeah, I mean, ideal world, sure. I'm just saying, like you have to be proactive.
Who has the 104? Let me see who has the 104. Let's see if we can craft it right here.
Yeah,
I mean the Booze Man has 103 and 105 and 208. Like
he's taking Hunter.
Yeah, he's probably going to take Hunter. Let's see who has 104 exactly.
Well, that's the thing. It's like Hunter's not making it to you at the 104 if you trade down. And to me, he's just
to be perfectly honest with you, I'm fine with that because I have Brian Thomas already.
Maybe, but like you can collect down.
So this guy, this is the one offering him stuff because he has 108, 109. Like he said, somebody offered me 108, 203. That's this guy. 109, 110. That's this guy. So if I'm in your position, I want 104 and 110 from him for the 102.
Not enough.
It is for me.
For Hunter to Tet, like that's a difference between a legitimate tier. I just don't think.
Well, I have Hunter wide receiver 11 in Dynasty and Tet wide receiver 12 in Dynasty. So from my vantage point, it is basically a free 110.
Yeah, I just disagree.
Obviously, I value Hunter more, but given that you have Brian Thomas Jr. and you're pocketing 110, I'd be comfortable making that deal.
Yeah, like this is just not doing anything for me.
Yeah, that's garbage. I don't want that.
It's horrible. I need more. Like it's Travis Hunter, dude. Like it's Travis Hunter.
Yeah, I get it's Travis Hunter, but I would argue it's Ted McMillan.
Yeah, Ted McMillan's a stud. He ain't Travis Hunter.
Yeah. But obviously me and Danny are a little far apart on some of these offers, but the goal ultimately with this team, trim the fat, Jacobs, B-Rob, Adams, those type of competitive assets. If you're not getting the value that you want to get now, and for those guys to give you an example, Jacobs, you need at least probably a mid to late projected first for, if not maybe even more than that. Brian Robinson, early projected-ish second.
Realistically,
I would say Adams, early projected-ish second, maybe even a 2-2s kind of offer for those guys. I would feel pretty comfortable selling them off for those type of packages because it come 2026, 2027 is when you're going to need to start actually retooling and rethinking about this team because it's not really anywhere remotely close to competing at this moment in time.
Realistically, I'm trading Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, and Brock Powers as my building blocks. And I would also add Bo Nix there, but I also don't think you're married to that if you got offered like an upgrade, like realistically. Like to me, and I guess that would apply to BTJ and Travis Hunter and Brock Bowers already, but I'm more so saying like there's another tier quarterback ahead of Bo Nix. I don't think that there's another tier ahead of, obviously, other than like the Jefferson, Lamb, Chase of BTJ and Travis Hunter. I have Hunter in that second tier of dynasty receivers. I can't pass on him.
Yeah, again, I can in a half PPR. So that's the difference there. And Tua also definitely somebody I'd be willing to shop. Yeah. But you might need to wait for him to produce because people don't like Tua because of the concussions and all that kind of stuff. So lots of work to do. Let's just put it that way. Lots of work to do. Absolutely. 205, 304, 307, 411. Ideally with those picks, take swings on best player available. If they pop up with great training camps and that kind of stuff, maybe punt those into future capital. If, you take a running back at
Adams,
let's say you took a running back at 304. You take DJ Giddens. He pops up because he's the starter for the Colts for 4 games and peaks is like early second round rookie pick value. Yeah. I would punt that into a early projected 27 second any day of the week. Kind of
sure. Yeah. For what it's worth, for taking over an orphan, I personally think taking the best player available for me this year, like I said, with Travis Hunter would be the direction, and trimming around your main pillars to potentially make this team. I wouldn't say you're ready by 2026, but 2027 is when I would start to think about competing again.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in the Same page there. I believe this will be our last one. I'm going to take a look one more
Quick
time.
update, if not, yep.
Yeah, this will be the last one that we have here.
Yep.
Appreciate you, Jack. Thanks for sticking around as long as you have in the chat too,
Yes,
because
sir.
we've been yapping for a while there. Jay Cutler's legal team, great team name there, but he is unfortunately 10th. So full rebuild mode, wondering how to spend my draft capital this year. Lots of options to go with, still several players to sell, but we'll likely sell in season for 26, 27 capital. So he's got the right idea in terms of the players. I mean, he's probably referring to Brian Robinson, Khalil Shakir, Mooney, Dallas Goedert, Darnold, I would say probably fits the bill for that. And then how would he spend his picks this year? So let's give him kind of like a quickie rookie draft plan here. I wouldn't be opposed to selling George Pickens because he also just got a,
non-PPR
in his value as well.
Non-PPR league.
Yeah. So standard league 104. I mean, in a standard league, I don't think you got a hope in hell of Amari and Hampton being there. You're probably looking at Travis Hunter, Ted McMillan, which fit your team. Yep. Definitely going to be a good option for you there. At 106, here's
1.5 tight end premium. I might be fucking taking a tight end there. That's for sure.
I think, 1.5 tight end premium and non-PPR. I don't know. I think what that maybe means is that it's half PPR. He said it's PPR. That's a mistake. And it's a 1.5.
Oh, okay. Yo, I almost got fucking. Okay. With that being said, if this is a full PPR start 9-12 team 1.5 premium league, if that's the case, 104, pretty self-explanatory, like Corey was kind of alluding to there. You take whoever falls on the board between the top 4 players and hope to God that Cam Ward goes in the top 3, because that would get you access to one of the top 3 guys, which we know inherently, obviously Ashton Genty, Travis Hunter, and then Amari and Hampton. The 4th, let's just say Cam Ward doesn't go in the top 3. The top 3 go as expected. I think I'd be willing to take a guy like Ted McMillan on this team. Instantly slots as a top 2 receiver for you, builds out that value, especially knowing inherently that you have the 106 and the 108 to potentially add a Henderson and a Judkins if need be, or a Henderson plus an Emeka Egbuka.
Yeah, you're going to be in pretty good shape there. Like you said, 106, ideally you get like a Henderson there. If not, I mean, Cam Ward would be a player that you don't really need at this moment because you have Drake May and Bryce Young. You could maybe shop that pick and punt to future class, maybe trade down, whatever the case is. But ideally, I would say you get Henderson with that selection. 108.
We see the top 3 pick owners, specifically 102 and 103, as well as 105, I believe is the other one.
Yeah, let's take a look here. We got 103. This
Probably
guy potentially could take Cam Ward, but I would say he's probably going to take a receiver, probably Hunter.
Maybe? Yeah, let's check 102. It's probably going to be number 3 in value or number 1.
Genty, yeah. This guy, I mean, he's probably not going to take Cam Ward either. I would say he's taking Hampton most likely.
So 104, it's probably going to end up being Tet for you. Let's check the 105 team again quick.
The 101 team had the 105 as well. So this guy's going to take Genty, and then presumably he takes Ward because he only has Jordan Love.
Yeah, and if that's the case, that'd probably be about as ideal of a run out, other than maybe the guy going with Tet instead of Travis Hunter and you getting Trav at 4.
Yeah. So you're pretty much looking at Henderson, McMillan, 108. Ideally, Egbuka would be there for you because he fits your build really, really well. Long-term rebuilding type of wide receiver. One thing is you don't have a tight end and you don't really have a pick in a honeypot where a tight end goes.
108
kind of sucks. I mean, I think it's too early to take a tight end with 108 personally. Fair. I'd have to trade back a little bit to get a tight end there. I wouldn't take a tight end over Egbuka or Judkins.
Yeah, no, I think that's reasonable. I think it's more reasonable if you wanted a tight end, given the fact that it's the 1.5 premium start 9 league.
Well, it's a half tight end premium.
Well, I was just gonna let me finish. Yeah. I was just gonna say, however, I still think it's too early for either of those guys. I would need, like you said, if you can move down to the 110, 111, maybe pocket a future second of insulation if you're going to make a move like that.
Yeah, this 112 guy doesn't need a tight end. He has Laporta, so maybe he would be willing to slide up to 108 for you. Like, would you take 112 and 204 for 108?
Yeah.
Needing a tight end? I think that's probably a good trade that you could maybe float out there. Any of these other guys have, this guy's 111. Maybe he would trade up for, maybe this guy would throw you, he probably isn't this brain damaged, but maybe he would throw you 111 in his 26-1 for you give him like a 2 and 108. Like, let's say you give him 108, 206, and he gives you 111 and a 26 first.
I think this is a reasonable offer. I would just probably want a pick back, because the way I'd view this is Pickens is probably about an early 2 in valuation right now. Darnold's probably a mid 2. Would you pay like the 202 plus the 206 to go get 110? It's almost like the inverse of what we're just suggesting.
I think Pickens is probably worth close to the 110 right now.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like the even if I haven't valued at the 202, the difference between the 202 and the 110 in my rankings right now is so minuscule.
Yeah, I would say if you do that, you probably want a second, like a future second.
Yeah, you get a 26-2 on this. Like if you can get like a 26-2, or if you had to add a 3 and you get a 26-2 back, I think that'd be reasonable. Like, would you do Darnold Pickens plus a 26-3 for 110 plus 26-2? I think that's more reasonable if you're going to.
That's a little bit more reasonable. Even then, I think that Pickens, you could talk me into him being worth close to a late first himself.
Oh, I don't disagree.
And Darnold should, because he's a starter and he's got a contract, he should be worth an early second. I think I would want something more, even potentially more consequential than just a regular 26-2. Like I might want a 26-2 and a 27-2.
Well, let's look at the guy with 110. Who has 110? Because it's the guy I'm assuming he's making the deal with, because he mentioned that. 110.
See who has the 110 here. Where we go? 110,
no.
110.
So it's going to be at least 9th in the ranking, if not 8th.
This is the where the hell is this guy?
It's gonna be 9th, like between 7th and 9th of the pick ratings, because the guy at 10 was worth 7th or 9th. You're not listening.
Oh, yeah. There he is. Sorry, I had looked through those.
Like you're not listening. This guy needs a tight end.
Yeah, I mean, if I were him, I would just stick and pick here. But
okay, but he also needs a quarterback. So if you did Darnold plus Pickens for one,
like, can you throw in Downs on this trade to balance it out? If you get Downs back, I'd do it.
If you can, sign me the fuck up. Let's go.
Yeah, if he gives you Downs on this trade, I would do it. But that,
if he doesn't give anything, let's just say it was the 110. What would you need? 210 plus 310?
210 plus his second next year is what I'd want.
Yeah.
And then I'd throw a 3 maybe on my side if I had to.
Yeah. Try to offer it. Yes, sir.
But yeah, you have some flexibility. Like this is a team that you're just adding assets to. You're not ready to compete anytime soon. Don't discount the idea of getting into future classes if you can with some of the picks that you have. And I mean, you don't really have a whole lot of future capital built up, but ideally, let's say you hit on a lot of your picks. You have a quarterback core, you have a wide receiver core, you have a young tight end that you can build around. And next year, all you really have to add is the running back position. That would put you in good shape. And during the season, be proactive. Like you said, Shakir, Mooney, B-Rob, those type of guys, try and sell them off if they're starting to emerge for you. James Cook holds out for the first little bit. Ray Davis is probably a guy I'm shopping. Jalen Wright comes into a workload because Achane goes down for 4 weeks. Probably a guy I'm shopping, that type of thing. So we shall close out the stream. Let me just make sure that we have no more reviews. Go full Italian on them here. So let's move on to the next one. If we do have one, but I do think we are done. We are done. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. It has been a good 2 hours with you. Appreciate you guys for sticking around. And yeah, any other team reviews that you guys have, we'll do these as often as you guys pack them for us. Like, I mean, we'll give out vouchers if we haven't done one in a while, but you guys are all probably having rookie drafts and submitting these team reviews. So if you submit another bunch of team reviews, we'll do this again in 3 days. You know what I mean?
Well, again, it's a lot of fun. Obviously, we collaborate. We talk on for about a couple hours on stream. The frequency that we do this stream just comes based on the amount of reviews that we have. And like Corey said, obviously, if it's been a while, like we'll throw some reviews out there. But I mean, if you want more of these streams, like it's about how many people need their teams reviewed. Like,
yeah. And I would assume, like I said at the beginning of the stream, not many of us, me and Danny, are psychos who have been done our rookie drafts for a long time. But a lot of you guys are, some people mentioned, oh, I don't have my rookie draft till July or whatever. Like some people don't have their rookie drafts right away. And we're still happy to help with rookie draft stuff. And of course, if you guys haven't had your rookie draft, we have our rookie rankings up to date, dynasty rankings up to date, everything that you guys could possibly need over on Flock Fantasy, including how to get these team reviews and a number of other things that are coming down the pipe. We're going to start doing some redraft stuff later on this week as well. I have built right to my right here, a little bit of a facsimile studio. And Danny and I are going to sit down and break down, top 20 running backs, top 15 running backs or so. From a redraft perspective, top 24-ish wide receivers or so from a redraft perspective. Our best ball rankings are up to date as well. For those of you guys that are interested in getting into some underdog drafts, we're going to be doing an underdog stream with Spicy Hot tomorrow. Speaking of underdog as well, for those of you guys that are watching the NBA Western Conference Finals today, the extender is live. Where you can basically build out an underdog entry. And I made one on my TikTok earlier today. These are the picks right here. Anthony Edwards, higher than fantasy points. Chet Holmgren, higher than rebounds. And Julius Randle, lower than points and assists. I broke down that on Twitter. and on TikTok.
Yeah.
Get a gimme pick if you're a new customer. Use the promo code FSE. And again, extender token, 40% boost for game 1. And it continues as long as the series goes along. And this is both for the Western and Eastern Conference Final that you can continue to use these. But you do have to start with game 1. So you do have to make a pick tonight or tomorrow night for the East Final to be able to be eligible to get those boosts progressively going up throughout the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure you get in on that. Again, a lot of interesting new offers are going to be coming at the time over on Underdog, and we'll get you guys updated as well in terms of the best ball streams coming soon. We already did one this past week. Obviously, if you guys are new to Underdog, promo code FSE will get you match back on your first deposit up to $1,000 in bonus cash. And of course, Corey just mentioned his picks. If you guys want to tail them over there, feel free to do so.
Yep, for sure. And again, we will be doing an underdog draft tomorrow, or a couple underdog drafts. 2026 wide receivers to target and avoid is taking a little bit longer than I wanted it to. I will admit I have not, collected a lot of the numbers yet. So that'll probably be a next week thing, I would imagine. It's no rush at this point. It's May 20th. And we are still talking about next year's draft class. So I'm going to collect those in due time, and the quarterbacks and the tight ends I'm going to try and get to as well. But appreciate you guys for sticking around. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed. Check out the site for all of our bonus content. But with that being said, peace out. We'll talk to you soon.